Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover. It's powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. How about that yesterday?
How about what?
How about all the stuff that was going on yesterday?
Oh, yeah, big day.
All this happened during your show, too.
I know.
Perfectly.
I know.
Coordinated.
I'm sure it will again today. It is almost 10 o'clock, so it's probably almost press release time. I don't know what we're going to get. Why is only one ear working?
Do they do that to avoid the morning show, or?
Well, I think that's
are they scared of you?
I think that's part of it.
Or do they get in at 9, write the press release, and then send like, hey, you got until 10 o'clock to send this thing?
I was going to try and string this along as possible without calling anybody out, but you're right. They get in at 9. They have to process the paperwork, and then they write the release, and then it comes out at 10. And they feel like I think there is a study of certain times during the day of releasing news that'll get the most traction.
Is 10 o'clock the most popular press release time?
That or 5:30.
Yeah,
usually it's
for the other reasons.
Yeah, I'd say it's 6. It's either 10 or 6.
Everybody's gone home for the day. It's going to sit in inboxes.
Mm-hmm.
The news is already started, so they can't move things around.
Yeah.
You accidentally delete it and you didn't read it.
Definitely. Can't wait to see what we're in store for today.
The breaking news show.
What positions have meetings today? That's a good,
good little starter spot.
A good hint.
I would think
it was some defense yesterday.
I would think every day that ends in Y should be wide receivers.
So
I think wide receivers are going to be popular today.
Okay. All right.
Doesn't mean that guys are going to be leaving. What if some guys are coming?
What if?
You never know.
What if? And tomorrow is signing day, a thing that is real.
There has been I used to be like I was a recruitnik.
I know.
That was the day.
Like when they just had one, it was like the holiday. I have probably paid less attention to Nebraska's recruiting class this year than I have in a long time.
It's been a long, slow fade for me. Like basically over the last 5 years, just do. And yeah, we're definitely at an all-time low right now.
Do they still fax? That was always the big thing. The faxes are rolling in at 6 a.m.
Definitely no faxes. Definitely no more faxes.
Is the Big Ten Network doing a show tomorrow?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think so.
Live content on BTN? I don't know.
It's December.
Hey, would you get more excited?
You know
how when the NBA free agency opens up around July 4th, that first day, it's just a whirlwind. What if that was the case with the portal? Like the first day that the portal opens, it's just madness. Would you rather watch that show on BTN or a show tomorrow about 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who haven't played in college yet?
Good question.
Portal madness. Give me that, because that's the day and age we live in, and I want to see the overreaction.
The first day of free agency in the NBA, ESPN does 3 hours. And it's just bang, 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 bang. Guys are signing.
But that's the thing
news.
in the NBA. They go in, they hit free agency at that specific time or whatever, but everyone already knows where they're going because they've already agreed to deals in the what do they call that? The legal tampering window. That's stupid.
Maybe we should have that in college football.
Everything.
Legal tampering.
Every day is legal tampering day in college football. I guess it's illegal tampering, but it doesn't prevent it from happening.
Depends what school.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
I
believe you Kansas guys around here showing your Kansas stuff. Edge.
I'm a slow burn here. I wasn't going to go all.
So what's tomorrow going to look like?
Yeah, what's the fit?
Oh, man, I have to make a decision here. I mean, I can't wear blue.
I can't wear blue.
We can call him to come on by and bring breakfast.
Brian Haney, the voice of KU.
Oh yeah.
We like listening to them doing football games on the River Road
that's
trips.
Right.
We should
have to answer your question, Red. I think that's going to be the play.
Red is a Kansas color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a Creighton color, so there's no confusion.
And
that guy's wearing blue. Cool.
Oh, red. Oh, no, they beat us. Oh, no.
PTSD.
I assume you'll be wearing this sweatshirt all week?
I will not.
Okay.
It was just a one-day thing. And actually, I was not. I put it on because it was in the...
Because it was there.
it was in the rotation.
Yeah.
It was not because KU and Creighton play tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. Just
Because
a shirt.
what if I was going to the game, what I would wear is the new T-shirt that I will be selling on my website, Huskers for Creighton.
Huskers for Creighton. You'll get a lot of buys on that.
Nebraska ball for Creighton.
Yeah, you'll get a ton of buys.
There needs to be the guy that was chugging beer in the stands for that game. He needs to be back.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to be rooting openly for Creighton to win.
The guy
Season
that was
tickets.
chugging beer.
Yeah, in
Okay.
the video.
So
Well, you really can just put anything on a shirt nowadays.
true.
I missed this.
There was probably wasn't caught on the video screen, but a picture of him was taken. Him and his buddies late in the game were standing.
One red, one blue.
It was on
No,
the game
it was
recap.
two guys in Nebraska gear, and the
Okay.
guy chugs
Oh,
a
you
beer.
know what? I think I saw. Yeah.
There's foam everywhere.
I love like those games are so funny because dudes, they go with a group of dudes or whatever, and there's always one dude
Dudes being dudes.
who's on the other team. He's like, here's a picture of me and all my friends. We're all wearing red, and then there's the one guy in the blue, or opposite, the reverse. Of
How
that.
many? Like when KU and Nebraska would play in the old Big 8, Big 12. There were a lot of KU fans that ended up in the Devaney Center, and they'd always be up on the planks in the C section.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and they would
I
have
saw them lose there. They rushed the court.
They would have like a large gathering. I wonder what the split will be tomorrow night.
I would imagine. KU fans love coming to Omaha,
Well, and you have a lot
and
of
they love living in Omaha too.
and
So
you also have a lot of KU alums and people that their kids go to school at KU that live here in
Absolutely.
Omaha.
absolutely, yeah.
Many friends from Omaha.
But they'll be wearing blue.
But it's a different blue.
Is
it? Yeah, like Creighton is like
Ooh.
more closer to the baby blue.
Well, they've definitely
KU
that's
is
definitely one of
darker
their
blue?
colors. Yeah, but I mean, most people in Creighton gear have like the the royal blue, whatever it is.
It could be a really good uniform game matchup tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I don't think they
I don't know
would,
what
but
Creighton's
if
gonna wear.
Kansas rock the red jerseys, which they don't come out very often, they usually save them till later. They have bad luck routinely on the road wearing the reds.
Oh.
So now
the
what will
Reds
Creighton? What will,
did KU wear reds on the road when they played Nebraska in 18? That
No.
game
No,
where
what-
Svi made the corner
they
three?
wore their blue.
That was blue.
Yeah.
off the top of my head,
And they
I can
introduced Scott Frost. That was a hell of a
the
night.
game I went to, they introduced Bill Callahan at halftime, and it motivated Jake Muehlheisen and Drevo and all those guys, and they blew out Kansas by, I think it was 93-74.
Yeah.
Well, I go all the way back to Bruce Chubbuck in a racing down the floor block at the rim of Antoine Jameson at the Devaney Center. Jamar Johnson hitting a corner three to beat KU.
See,
Big
why
Eight
do we
basketball
not?
was
Why are we
lit.
not picketing to go back to the Big 12 every day? Bring us home. Bring Nebraska home.
That was the Big 8, and it was glorious. And then into the Big 12, it lost its little luster. But KU,
There was still those. I mean, that was the game every year because Nebraska
Yeah.
wasn't very good, but if they hosted
That was
Kansas
the
at home,
sellout.
it was like, this is
The Lakers are
huge.
in
KU
Nebraska gets to play on ABC.
Yep.
Like, this is huge.
When I was a student, I had Dick Vitale do my answering machine message because he was doing the game.
Oh,
And so I said, hey, can you be my answering machine?
diaper dandy.
Gary can't come to the phone right now.
It
Go
was-
Rays!
It was kind of like it was
Go
kind of along the
Rays.
lines.
It's
That was
Gary,
right.
not
It was
Carey.
right when Vitale was starting to take off, and that was his
Yeah.
first game he'd done in Lincoln. It was a
God.
Nebraska KU game.
Yeah, that was those were good times.
Well, and it was also KU and Mizzou were guaranteed to be sellouts because there were so many KU and Mizzou fans. So the Devaney Center would be packed.
I don't remember any Nebraska Mizzou games basketball off the top.
They used to be good.
Obviously,
They
yeah,
used
like
to
in the 90s, it was fantastic.
Anthony Peeler.
I remember when I was a student, I think I had the best heckle of all time.
Ooh.
So there was a Missouri player, I can't remember his name, but he was pretty important, had like a hernia issue. And so he's at the free throw line, and we're sitting on the floor in the bleachers behind the basket, and he's at the free throw line, and it's quiet, and I holler, turn your head and cough. I was very proud of that for the longest time.
Sure.
I thought that got me some cachet among fellow Dead Dog Alley people.
Yeah. That was I mean, when they had the student
Or
section,
doctors that do physicals.
the two student sections right behind the baskets at the Devaney, like, and they're really, really small. Those were awesome. You could shout anything you wanted to. You're right on top of the
Oh,
court.
it used to be.
It
Yeah.
was such like the dynamic because
Yeah, now the student section at Nebraska is right behind the scorer's table.
yeah,
And so you kind of have to shout through people, and it's big and it's kind of wide open. Like, I like where it's I like what
Take
they did.
that, PA announcer.
Exactly. I like where it's located at, but the one at the Devaney was pretty sweet.
So the student section at PBA, if you get there late, you have to sit behind one of the baskets, right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
the rollover section on the south basket. Yep. And for the good games, they'll fill that all the way up too.
Yeah. It just seems like it's a long way away.
It does. Because it's a big arena that hosts other events. The Devaney was just basketball.
It was.
It was just basketball.
With planks up and
Yep.
then you had the padded seats in the B section.
And the floor was placed on springs.
Yep.
They had the floor on springs, and they would just bounce.
The first time I heard "Can You Feel It" was actually in Devaney. So
Can you feel it? Was a Nebraska is a Nebraska thing?
Can you imagine if you went to see like Nebraska basketball in the Devaney Center, like even like as far back as like Collier, and you hadn't been back to Lincoln? You're like, hey, I want to go see the Devaney Center, and you walked in there now.
Oh,
You'd be
yeah.
like,
Where am I?
What is going on here?
where do they play?
It's just volleyball,
It's just volleyball.
You
just
just take
volleyball.
the
And then
court up?
occasionally basketball.
and then occasionally basketball with 100 lines on the court.
Oh, it was messing me up watching the Nebraska volleyball at Maryland.
Oh,
They played on a real
set-
gym court floor.
well, they moved
Yeah.
it to the big arena to
Yeah.
set a record.
Yeah.
Ah.
So they had the basketball court and they put the volleyball. Lines
how,
down.
how do they like? There is still probably what half of the Division I schools in volleyball still don't have like the Terraflex. Like, how do you not
Yeah.
have that?
It needs to be a requirement
Isn't
somehow. some
But
way.
isn't a requirement to host the NCAA tournament? You have to have.
I
it?
would
Yeah.
think so. I would think
That
so.
was part
Because
of
Penn
Kansas's
State didn't have
renovation.
Terraflex for the longest time, so they must have bought one because they're hosting.
Yeah, or the NCAA ships them one or something like that, whatever
Yeah.
it might be. But it's always so odd when they go out on volleyball and they play on the gym floors. Just you hear the squeaks and stuff like that. It's like this is not
Local
not right.
YMCA.
Yeah.
I kudos to the Pentagon up in Sioux Falls. They have cleaned up their floor. So they used to have like 5 different 3-point lines
I know.
because
Oh, yeah.
because they have the
Well, they
the
made-
G League team that plays there.
They made the men's and women's line the same.
Yes.
now. Like, so yeah.
But they used to have the high school line, then they had the women's, then
Yep.
they had the men's, and then they
And
had
there
the
was
G
an
League.
NBA, yeah. G League.
The one that, thank God it was a great tournament, but I don't know that I can watch that many games in the Maui tournament on that floor.
That was messing with my eyes. I thought it was just age.
a
but
lot of different things on that floor.
They got a
too.
lot of three-pointer lines.
Yeah.
They've got the lane looks like a
Tommy
lay.
Bahama
Yeah.
shirt.
Then they've got other
Yes,
lines that are
exactly.
on the floor that makes it look like when they're not in there, they're playing floor hockey or they're doing volleyball.
State basketball too. I mean,
Winter
the
Gain really
3-point
triggered.
line, the college 3-point line is, probably what, a foot, 2 feet behind the high school 3-point line. And everyone just shoots from the college 3-point line.
Yeah.
And it changes the game a little bit.
does.
Like
Now
people
you're shooting 2 of 30.
like,
Why?
yeah, you're not gonna step on a line when you shoot a 3-pointer. You're gonna go behind that line, and that's your option.
And thus you get a 31-24 barn burner between 2 high scoring teams
Exactly.
in basketball.
What's been the feedback about the new floor in Lincoln? Somebody brought this up to me watching the game on Sunday. They're like, "Oh, I didn't realize the state is not in the middle of the floor."
That's pretty bland. It's pretty bland. Not much. If they were gonna take the state off, you make the N big, make the N gigantic.
That would make
They
sense.
should make the N. So, speaking of KU and Creighton, might have the 2 largest mid-court logos in college
Yeah.
basketball.
KU goes what? Top of the 3-point line to top of the 3-point
When
line.
they did that when I was in college, all the blue hairs just erupted.
Oh,
Same
I'm
thing when
sure.
they put a video board in there. Oh my God, I don't want to
Yeah.
watch replays. I want my light bright board.
Yeah.
I want my dancing nachos.
I know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, everything is now like displayed on a video board. That's what they did at That's what they did at PBA. Now on the corners above the VOMs, they're video boards now, so you could put whatever you want on there and then put the scoreboards up during the game. But they used to be like actual real scoreboards.
Yeah.
Now they're not anymore.
With missing bulbs.
They changed that this year.
Yeah.
But they should have. You're right. They should have made the N a lot larger, so it's just gigantic.
Big N.
Agreed. If they were going to take
Big
the state
N
off,
energy.
that's what they should have done.
Yes.
That's what they should have done.
Good job, Trev.
Yeah. Way to go.
Creighton has the size of the logo on their court, right?
It is pretty large.
It's big, but it's not like mega. You know, like Clemson. Have you guys seen Clemson's
Giant paw.
Yeah, it's gigantic. It's
like a Saint
huge.
Bernard.
I think it goes inside the 3-point line.
You can watch. You can watch that big logo as Clemson hosts Kentucky tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Oh, my
That's
dear friend,
later in the show.
Mock
Yeah.
Pope, my dear friend.
Great back-to-back nights of college basketball. The Big Ten is starting tonight.
It is.
The Big Ten is starting tonight.
I'm going through some things while you gentlemen are chatting.
What's going on in the Big Ten tonight?
Oh, would you love to know? Washington, UCLA at
hello.
9:30.
That's on the
Are
BTN.
you staying up for that game?
That's on the FS1. Actually,
Well, I'll be just getting back from Lincoln.
Oh, that's right.
Probably.
Women play tonight.
There's a Peacock doubleheader. Northwestern at Iowa.
Hello.
Michigan at number 11, Wisconsin.
Sounds cold. Sounds like Jack Collinsworth music.
Conference play on December 3rd.
I
Weird.
don't love it.
When's Nebraska? Nebraska's got what?
Saturday? Michigan State.
Frankie.
It's always Michigan State. Nebraska ball Mike called in yesterday. He goes, "Why do we always start with Michigan State?" I go, "I don't know, but it does always seem that way."
And why does it seem like Indiana plays in Lincoln on a Friday?
So they do the two. They do the two games that are in December.
Yeah.
It always feels like it's Michigan State and Indiana for Nebraska, and I can't really. I don't really know what they play the two like blue bloods of the conference. Right out of the gate every year.
Did they tell the conference office we will not go to that Lincoln, Nebraska after New Year's? No.
I guess so. Yeah.
Remember
Ohio State
when-
will play a Friday game.
Remember
before.
when conference play would not start until January? And now even like the Big East, what was Creighton going to play 3 conference games before the end of the year, which is kind of the norm now?
Well, they play.
Villanova was in December last year.
They
on
had
night.
that was the day after Christmas or like 2 days before Christmas last year. The Villanova game.
I think that was before. Somebody was after though.
Yeah, Creighton's at Georgetown on the 18th.
I think Marquette was at the
They
end of
have,
December.
Villanova.
They're at Villanova on the 21st, or they're home against Villanova on the 21st, and then New Year's Eve.
So that's
So they're gonna have 3 conference games before New Year's, which spreads it out a little bit, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
but it still seems odd to be on December 3rd and we're watching conference basketball.
It does. They're most of the teams have only played like 4 games, and all against, not UTRGV, but UTRGV.
And then they'll have a UTRGV game after the 2
multiple.
conferences. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, multiple.
Yeah, while the kids are away at holiday break,
Yep.
Which is great for attendance.
sneak in a
Alumni
UTRGV.
Day in the student section.
Well, that's what does suck is like you're not gonna schedule a home game during Christmas break. I mean,
unless the
they
conference
reduce-
gives you one.
But then you're okay. Then you're not going to have your students, and I'm not saying the average Joe and Jane, but you also to get people in the house for those games, you're only charging like $9 a ticket.
Nebraska played Kansas. It was right before Christmas. The Andrew White game at PBA, and that's an example of a game that, even though they're on break, that'll draw people because that's how you negate that.
That was at Allen Fieldhouse.
They played one at Allen, and then they turned around and 17 and played.
At PBA. That wasn't Andrew White though.
Oh,
I don't think that was it. They went
I
on the
can't remember
road.
who made the 3-pointer. I'll put it to, but I do remember
Steve
it was a 3-point.
Mikhailuk.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm the,
Yeah.
Forgive me for forgetting.
Ask Tim Miles. He'll never forget.
Yeah, right in the corner next to the KU bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that, sitting at a bar in New York.
Mm-hmm.
What a difference that win would have done for Tim.
Oh man, that would have got him to the tournament single-handeded that year. They
That
won.
was a Saturday night game. If I
Yes, and volleyball.
and they
was
introduced
in
Scott
the-
Frost.
Volleyball was playing the same night.
They they would have gone to the NCAA. They won 22 games that year. Ended up getting banished to the NIT in like Starkville or something like that,
That's right.
and lost that game.
Yeah,
Tough times.
that was. I remember listening to that game on the radio, and Kent was livid.
Tim Miles was like despondent after that game. He knew. He was like, he knew that the Big Ten wasn't going to be very good,
and they had him on the ropes,
and they had him. Right, that was such a huge game for them. Dang.
You do home and
Sweet.
home again. I'm here for a KU
Seriously.
Nebraska home and home.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a little stretch with Creighton right now
Which is okay too.
Um,
because Creighton played at Allen Fieldhouse
in the
during
COVID
COVID.
year,
Yeah,
which was a great game.
yeah.
Invite them down there.
That
with
was
fans.
that was the Baby Jays, right? That was like Trey's freshman year.
Well, I think it was Zagorowski's last year.
Oh,
Yes, I remember Zach.
well, that was the year
It was the COVID
the year they won the Big East.
Yeah.
It was a 4:30 Monday afternoon game in front of friends and family, if that.
So
and a
weird.
whole bunch of cardboard cutouts.
So weird.
Well,
At least this one will be full on rocking.
tell your young daughter someday that back in the COVID year in the NFL, remember we had a Tuesday game,
That was awesome.
like at 4 p.m. between Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Yeah. There was
Surprised the
there
NFL
was a
started
Buffalo game that was
the Chiefs. The Chiefs had to go play there on a Tuesday.
That's right. Yeah.
It just
They're like, we got to get this game in, so let's just push
whenever
it to
they could
Tuesday.
you'd have baseball games at just random times. Like, hey, before we knock out our lineup because of COVID, let's get this game in.
Can't go to Toronto. There was the what was it that year? The Broncos were down to like a wide receiver at quarterback,
Yes.
and they tried, I think, but he ended up having to start. I can't remember that guy. Broncos fans will hit me on that one.
Ran
but-
the wing tee.
so stupid.
Good times. People forget.
People forget
Kendall
COVID.
Hinton.
Kendall Hinton.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
War number 2.
He did.
You got it.
He ain't no Jameis Winston.
You got it.
Wait, is Jameis Winston the best quarterback that you love watching, but you don't want to come anywhere near your team?
That's
It's like
right.
drama.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Yeah.
going to throw for 700 yards. Just 200 of them might be the other way.
And he should always be mic'd up.
I want to
Always.
ask the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Please.
That,
Incredible.
but did he make a mistake that shouldn't he have done that before the game?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
reactionary.
Yeah.
It's like confession instead of prayer.
Can't play the
Confessions
result.
after
Yeah.
you've done. the deed.
So they have the AFC North Hard Knocks is coming out.
That's
It
right.
has to include him, like behind the scenes stuff.
There's some good storylines in that division. Let's check out on Pittsburgh.
And the Steelers are winning that division.
Yeah.
And I think Tomlin was mic'd up
Yes.
He
like
got mad at
recently
one of
for the
his
Ravens
players.
game,
Yeah.
and he wasn't happy. Like he took the microphone off when he would talk to his team or something.
And then coming out of the tunnel after the Bengals game Sunday,
Yes.
one of his players goes, "Oh, you were mic'd up," and he just shouts, "Shut your ass up!"
And he looked at him like he was in trouble.
One quick report here before we end this. Chris Hummer from 24/7 Sports
I know him.
is saying that Nebraska is expecting to hire Kentucky's Dakeil Shorts as their wide receivers coach.
I know that name.
He is considered one of the top young wide receiver coaches in FBS. He previously worked for Dana Holgerson at Houston. I believe played under Dana
He did
Holgerson.
play for him 13 to 16.
Mhm.
Yep, there you go.
Good
West
call.
Virginia.
He's been on campus all morning.
There you go.
And I think this will also lead to Cortez Mills flipping from
Oh,
Oklahoma to
that's
Nebraska.
That's the next thing.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Mm.
All right.
So potentially new wide receivers coach. What happens with Garrett McGuire? He probably is looking around at the very least. Maybe they keep him in. We'll
Where
see.
will he
Dad,
be
you
next
got a job
Monday at
for
6
me?
o'clock? Find out.
This guy is 29 years old.
Oh, the perfect heir apparent for Garrett McGuire.
A little bit older.
Also, the news keeps coming, so it's after 10.
Mm.
Yep.
Danny Kalen's in the portal.
I wondered if that was happening.
Daniel.
That was always a risk, right?
We like him.
Yeah. Especially with tomorrow TJ Lateef committing. Raiola's got 2 more years.
Mhm.
I don't think Harburg's going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
Wow, that's a Pete tweet.
Yeah.
Danny Kalen got on the Pete tweets.
I would
so
screenshot that.
That's
That's
coming.
cool.
So
I'm going to use
I-
the graphic for that one.
I've
Everybody okay? No? Okay.
Just yeah.
you've been in this game long enough. You can tell certain reporters that when they reveal information,
Mm-hmm.
where they got it from.
You can usually connect the dots. Yeah.
Like for basketball, like Mac uses Jeff Goodman for certain things, like to to make a point because Goodman will tweet it out, and then people go,
Yeah, he had a thing on he had a thing on Fedora a couple days
Yeah.
ago. Yeah,
So I get it. You know,
The hat
they're
or
kind of in
Larry?
a stalemate, and it might be tough.
Fedora.
But you know, use Goodman, and then you get reaction from people like, "Oh man, free Fedora!
Yeah.
Creighton's getting screwed."
So Fedora is practicing now. By
yeah.
the way, but I don't know what's I don't know what the playing status looks like. I don't think anybody knows.
But Pete tweets. They come straight from the headman.
Pete tweet. Yeah, Matt Rule likes to text. He's texting.
Can one piece of reporting I'd like to see go by the wayside? Can we stop doing the obligatory? Just because somebody enters the portal does not mean that they will go anywhere else.
Specifically what it means.
Yes, it does.
They're going somewhere else.
Yes, it does. They're gone.
But they could come back.
They could.
They could come back.
This isn't a separation. This
Jamar
is
Butler went into the portal that one time and came back.
They have that option.
Might he do it again?
But I heard it on the local
Yeah.
news a whole bunch yesterday.
Oh, it's good. It's a good
CYA.
yeah. Like, hey, let's
Yeah.
just make sure we get all our
But I agree with Josh here.
yeah.
If they're
We
in the
probably don't
portal,
need to mention it every time.
Right.
There's a lot of things with reporting over the last couple of days that have just been very interesting.
Mm.
Very interesting.
In what way?
Just very interesting.
Are we talking local media?
Maybe.
Mm.
Maybe.
We had a local media on local media crime over the weekend.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Tell me literally everything.
Okay, so if I give you, and it was kind of interesting to follow from afar. If I give you Dirk was involved, give me the media member that
Oh,
Dirk
this
This
was
is you
involved
guys.
with.
Haven't
Bo
been here
Pelini.
long enough.
I saw some.
Wouldn't that be just amazing if Bo started to respond to Dirk's tweets?
I think I saw this.
It would be incredible. Like time would stop around here.
That would be
People are
very
like,
funny.
I can't. I'm like refreshing.
That would be very funny.
That's the podcast.
Who
we
tweeted
need.
at Dirk? Because I feel like I saw this.
It's somebody you would not expect.
Oh man, I can't.
That was an eternity ago, by the way. The Friday game against.
I know.
And everything that went
gone.
on.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Larry Putney.
Oh yeah, Putney. Yeah, Putney.
What?
I saw this.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was
enough
not
being
aware
here
of
that
this.
That sounds.
Because I wasn't following after the game. I'm like, I'm shutting this down.
Mhm.
And then somebody said, "Hey, are you following Dirk and Larry?"
So Dirk did a tweet that said Nebraska's capacity for disaster is infinite, which
Okay.
I actually agree.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sounds very sci-fi.
Fairly innocuous given the set of circumstances the last decade.
Yeah. And then some people took issue. I think
People were grumpy on a Friday,
I think-
cold Friday night.
Nebraska's capacity for disaster is pretty large. I don't know, infinite, maybe strong, but it's pretty large.
I would like a broadcaster on air doing the game that would be a line to use.
Their capacity for
Like
disaster.
Colt McCoy.
Oh, their capacity for disaster is infinite.
And it's 3rd and 10.
Whoa!
Hey, the wrong person to use that. And this time, Matt Rule says we didn't cheat.
Well, he did. He did. They got to take Jeff Sims out of the game. They got to take him out. He's killing him.
Have we talked
Verbatim.
enough about Gus's call at the end of the Ohio State?
We talked
Michigan
about
game?
it plenty.
It was like Harlan calling the end of a Raiders-Chiefs game that the Raiders win on the last second field goal.
Would you like to?
It was sad.
Would you like to hear it? Is it still on here, Josh?
Yay.
Where is it? There it is. Okay, here we go. You might be able to hear this through
Yeah.
somebody's headphones.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow, Jack Sawyer, the hero, Captain Jack.
That sounds like Greg Brady when his voice cracks when they're singing on.
I'm worried about Gus. I don't know if he's okay.
Or was that Peter?
He has one game a year now where he just has to step aside. At least.
It was a bad day for Gus and Brando's voice. At least
Hey.
Brando had a cold.
I like how he is the voice of Ohio State. And Mark Jones is the voice of Colorado.
And the Kings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
In that
By the way, Colin writes in. He says on the inbox, the Equitable Bank inbox, Hiring the Kentucky wide receiver coach completes the trade of Wan'Dale Robinson.
That's what I was thinking.
Player to be named later
I didn't
was the wide receiver
Now,
coach.
He committed to staying at Kentucky yesterday. I would take Vince Morrow in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, that's always been the
Vince
name.
Morrow, who gets into the weeds in recruiting.
He loves recruiting.
He just couldn't do that at Nebraska because somebody was like, why is that guy on the road recruiting, but he's a graduate assistant? And Bo would be like, I have no idea.
Yeah, we just let him do his thing.
I have no idea. Vince is just out there.
Comes with the furniture.
Now there's no rules on who can recruit or who can coach, so might as well just bring them all in.
If Vince Morrow would have, and Kentucky went and got him, they gave him his position, and that's his thing is recruiting. Like what he would have done at Nebraska, like he made so many people down there uncomfortable in the athletic department because you're like, well, you know what? I don't really have any rules. I just can't pay guys, right?
Right.
Are we sure?
Right.
But he was like hustling it. He wanted like a full-time gig
Ahead of his
on
time.
Pelini's staff because remember his son came here
That's right.
to play football.
That's right.
And yeah, like Vince to kill time would come to Metro games and stand on the sidelines and like talk to players during games. It was wild, but he was great. He'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" He'd tell you all the stuff that was going on in Nebraska. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get that guy, and that guy's gonna come here as well." And you're like,
nice.
No, he's not.
We need guys like that. We need a bunch of guys like that.
But I guess Jeff Brom tried to poach him over the weekend to Louisville, and he
At the stadium
recommitted to
they're
Kentucky.
playing?
He's paid really, really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But see, this
He's an
is
important guy.
This is why we should have trades in college football.
It's coming.
I always think that
It's coming one day.
when I'm playing the video game, crap, I recruited too many quarterbacks. Can I pawn this guy off on somebody and get a running back in return, please? Nope, doesn't work that way.
Well, have fun today.
Oh, we will.
I mean,
It'll
it's
be fun.
only 10:30.
Oh, it's John Rothstein. It's only 10:30. It's only 10:30. Yeah, who knows what could happen today? All right. See you guys later.
Bye, boys.
Bye.
Bye.
That's the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It is the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Buckle up. Another day of news incoming.
Oh my gosh, Connor! Everything's horrible!
Yeah. No, that's not true. In fact, we'll talk about that today.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's freaking out. Everything is, well, I don't know. It's really okay.
Referendum on the program.
It's really okay. As of the last 20 minutes or so, Daniel Kalen is in the transfer portal, and so he'll be looking elsewhere for other opportunities, maybe to start. And I would imagine he'll get an opportunity to do so. Maybe it's at the Power 4 level. Maybe it's close to the Power 4 level, or at least have a clear path to being able to start in the near future. So that one is in as of this morning. That's from Pete Thamel, and confirmed by many local scribes. Also from 24/7 Sports nationally, Chris Hummer reports that Nebraska is expecting to hire Kentucky's Dykeel Shorts. I don't know if I have that name right yet. Dykeel, maybe. Shorts. He is going to be Nebraska's new wide receivers coach, according to Chris Hummer of 24/7 Sports and Matt Zenitz of 24/7 Sports. He was a former 30 under 30 member and considered one of the top young wide receiver coaches in FBS, and previously worked for Dana Holgorsen at Houston. I believe played for Dana Holgorsen at West Virginia. So we will keep our eye on that. What might that mean for Nebraska's current wide receiver coach? As we know from last night, official, Nebraska is retaining Dana Holgorsen to be their offensive coordinator for at least the 2025 season. That's how we do this thing now, guys. 1 year at a time.
That's right. That doesn't have to be a long-term deal.
It's a 2-year contract, but it's 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
He's going to make $1.2 million. But the last offensive coordinator is making $1.4 million.
Are they getting cheap?
And that guy stinks.
He's coaching the tight ends.
Yeah. So that obviously will have, some interesting things that come after it. Dana Holgorsen, I mean, the story there is that the keys to the offense are Dana Holgorsen's. Dana Holgorsen is going to be allowed to, reshape and reshift the staff however he sees fit. And then obviously, from a personnel perspective as well, who might Nebraska bring in? Those coaches that are coming in, or that coach, or maybe multiple coaches, who knows, who are coming in, likely going to be attached to players and have relationships with players. Hey, will you come in? And then there's obviously the recruiting class as well that Nebraska is signing. Is that up to date from when we left you at 2 yesterday? I think that's it. And then there was all the things that happened yesterday, including Tony White headed off to Florida State. That is official.
There's some rumors, reported things that are not yet official.
Yes, regarding various people in various places. Yeah. But we want to stay on top of the official things. And if we tell you that this might happen, then just know that it might happen. And things change very quickly in this current landscape that we're in.
So quick.
A lot of things depend on a lot of things. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we are on a Tuesday. Welcome in. We will talk to Allan Bell today. Get through some NFL stuff with him. NFL reaction, overreaction coming up at 12:30 today. The writers have cooked up some beautiful, beautiful topics for us. Josh's bottom 5 NFL teams. Jacob Bigelow talks some hoops at 1:00. That's the lineup powered by the referees. At John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer. On the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed, email Connor at Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank inbox. Royals fans.
People do say we need to talk more about the Royals.
People have said this weirdly.
Very weirdly.
You've been wondering, are they going to do a TV deal anytime soon? Meet the new TV deal, same as the old TV deal. The Royals are staying with Diamond Sports Network, and they will be available on the now rebranded FanDuel Sports Network, aka Bally's Sports Network, for the 2025 season. I think they were one of two teams in Major League Baseball that hadn't announced their local TV deals, given this whole Diamond bankruptcy, whatever mess is going on over there. But the Royals are standing pat and are not, building their own network or anything like that. They're going with what it was basically last year. So if you have cable in Omaha and want to watch the Royals, congratulations.
You're good.
You're good. You got it. If you are a cord cutter and a YouTuber or a Huluer or whatever,
like an adult,
you're like Josh and I, you're gonna have to find other means.
Hey, Mom.
That's actually what happened to me last year. That my parents got me the Bally Sports subscription for my birthday. I was
yeah,
thank you. That was actually a really nice gift.
This is useful.
It's incredibly useful. Incredibly useful. Last night, Mitch and I were recording a podcast. We were going to react to the breaking news or to the news of the day, and then more news kind of just kept on coming. Multiple people.
I was wondering if the time I was reading that, I was like, wait a minute, the timeline on that.
I think while we were recording it in like it's a half hour, we recorded it in this half hour, and during that half hour, they announced the Dana Holgerson thing. Jamari Butler entered the transfer portal, and no, Jamari Butler was before that. Mekhi Bayer entered the transfer portal. So we'll have a chance to discuss all of those things on the show today. It's gonna be another wacky week around here, or a wacky day. Remember, this is only December.
It's only Tuesday.
People are asking, Josh, where's the breaking news graphic where we're looking at our phones surprised? I think it's best to, I don't know, maybe just back off the throttle on that a little bit. You
don't want to abuse it. You still want
just don't want to say anything so definitively at this stage in the game. When it is definitive, it's definitive. When Nebraska announces that they're retaining and bringing back Dana Holgerson to coordinate the offense next year, that is officially announced by the university via a press release.
Yeah,
that's great. That's breaking news. And then there's reports that are out there, and there's things that are being said that probably happen a little bit too quickly, hastily. Doesn't mean that they don't end up happening, but maybe there's steps to be taken. It's a weird time right now. Nebraska is shaping their staff, and then they have to get to work on shaping their roster for 2025 and beyond as well. Also this morning, Daniel Kalen into the transfer portal. And like I said, he'll probably be looking for, we'll see what kind of opportunities he gets. He's a highly recruited player. Ended up signing on with Nebraska even after the Dylan Raiola situation unfolded last year. And now he is into the portal after his red shirt year. All right, lots of things today. What's the next move for Rule? We're talking on the defensive side of the ball. Not just who's he going to hire, but what's going to be Rule's sort of involvement there. We'll talk about the Dana Holgerson news from yesterday. The big picture, is the sky falling? And we'll have college football playoff rankings tonight. That's right. We'll have a really good idea of who needs to win and who needs to do what, even though we have a pretty good grasp on that already. Off and running here on a Tuesday. We'll be back after this on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Here's a tweet from Chad on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed.
Hi, Chad.
At this point in Husker football never-ending, 15-year plus nightmare, as a fan, just go ahead, get all the leaves shaken off the tree. Again, find out who's left, gather up the pieces, and move forward as I start day drinking. Wow.
Oh.
Congratulations on your Tuesday in December day drinking, Chad. Nice job by you.
Kind of jealous.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about day drinking is more sad in the winter. It's happy in the summer.
Definitely.
You go wear a nice loose shirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's day drinking in the cold, unless you're like going to a football game afterwards. I don't know.
Like, oh, he's just enjoying the weather.
Yeah.
In the winter, you day drink and it's
you don't enjoy the weather.
What happened to that guy?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we might be. That's definitely what we're seeing. We're seeing a bit of a reset at the moment. I don't think that has to be the worst thing in the world. I mean, this will be a topic that we just sort of intermittently hit throughout the show today, but I don't feel like the sky is falling for Nebraska. We'll discuss the Tony White thing from yesterday and sort of what that means and how it came to be and all of that stuff as we go on throughout the show today. But Rule, in his time as a head coach, has pretty much always had successful defenses, even though, when he was coming up as a coach, he was, kind of largely an offensive, assistant and that kind of guy. But he said this. He said, hey, look, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that enter the transfer portal, and there's going to be some changes, and defensively, we're usually pretty good. And what he's decided on the offense is to, I think he came in. So basically what we're seeing is it's, I don't know if it's a change in philosophy as much as just a tweaking of that philosophy, right? We're seeing Matt Rule almost, it seems like completely give up the reins to the offense, right? Daniel Holgerson, here you go. You have chops as an offensive coordinator. You have chops as a head coach. I trust you to run this offense, put people in the right positions for success, hire the right people to get us there, and, get the players to get us there as well. We're seeing Matt Rule kind of step away from that a little bit. Will we see the same thing with the defensive side of the ball? My gut says no. I think part of sort of what has happened, people, we talked about it yesterday, how just weird it was this year with Matt Rule and Tony White. And, and that certainly happened when John Butler came in at the beginning of the season, and everybody sort of anointed him as the coordinator in waiting. And then there was bringing in Phil Snow as well. And Tony had a quote a couple weeks ago, I think this is before the Wisconsin game, about how, the head coach gets what the head coach wants and stuff like that. But if you're Tony White, you want to have full control of the defense. You want it to be yours. And I think with Matt Rule, that kind of wasn't going to happen. That kind of wasn't going to happen, even though that they were successful generally over the last 2 years. But they weren't doing some of the things last year that were core principles, and that was Tony White showing last year. This year, maybe as the season went on, just a little bit less of that. And the defense, I think, suffered because of it. Obviously still good when you wrap it all up, generally. So when you're looking to find what direction Nebraska might go with their new defensive coordinator hire, I probably would, just putting all of those things together, I probably would look internally at someone who's been here or is here right now, and that Rule could say, all right, you kind of know what I want, and I'm going to be involved in this thing, so it's yours, but it's also mine at the same time. And as long as you could get somebody to kind of agree with that and say, yeah, I'm good with that. Like, I want to coordinate a defense, and that's always been John Butler's thing, right? He didn't see a path to coordinating the Buffalo Bills defense as he was passed up for it last year. So he left, and he didn't have a job, and he came here and he saw a path to being Nebraska's defensive coordinator one day. And it feels like that path has sort of arrived, but it still feels like Matt Rule is going to have his fingerprints on the defense and the principles of what they want to do defensively. Now, what does that exactly look like? I'm not sure. I mean, what we saw this year is playing a little bit more straight up, right? Less stunts and twists and 100 different people and personnel and stuff like that. And so like what White was doing, and I don't want to put this negatively, what White was doing was a little bit more kind of gimmicky, I guess. Once again, I think a lot of Tony White. The whole Tony White like slander thing that has happened now over the last couple of days is pretty wild to me. I'm not sure I understand that.
I never understood it. I mean, that was a top small sample size, I know, but it was a top 20 defense, top 25 defense.
I get it. He's leaving, and the defense maybe didn't live up to expectations this year, but sometimes it just comes down to vision quests, Josh, for both the head coach and the coordinators, and alignment. And isn't that a good thing? After all, if you could say at the end of the day, our coaching staff is aligned, the expectations are known and communicated, and who does what is known and communicated, and whose responsibility is what and is known and communicated, and everybody agrees with that and sees it the same way. Isn't that kind of what you want? Now, we like to play fantasy football coaching staff all the time, but that's kind of what you want. You want a bunch of guys who are all sort of moving in the same direction. You want alignment. How long have we talked about that around here in a more general sense? So I don't at all look at yesterday like, oh wow, the sky is falling. This is horrible stuff. I don't think it has to be good either. I think Nebraska lost a really good coach with Tony White.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. In any corporate setting, you want to set the expectations and have your staff deliver on those expectations. And it seems as though somewhere along the way, the expectations were changed, whether that be knowingly or unknowingly, to the staff.
Yep. And moves happen because of it. Okay. So that's a starter for today. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Plenty to discuss as we continue on. We'll take your thoughts when we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, 11 o'clock. Where's the press releases?
Give me more.
Where's the press releases? Welcome back to the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. As always, want to hear from you all, whether it be on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline, 402-951-1620. We're going to take a call in 1 second. You could text that number as well, where we have a few texts. Back to our texter from before, Chad, who tweeted into the show. This is John, though. He says, I want to hang out with Chad. I don't care if it's winter. Drinking by a fireplace is fine, too. That's true, but it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
I like refreshing drinking, not like, I'm in a dark, cold room with a sweater on. And it's just different strokes for different folks. But I do love sitting by, sitting in the room's all lit up from the Christmas tree, and you're pouring yourself a porter or a glass of whiskey with a giant rock in it. That's good. That's good. But it hits different,
I have to want to drink, not need to drink.
That's right.
In the winter.
That's right. That's a good way to put it. All right. Like I said, we're here for you guys. We have plenty of stuff coming up. Allan Bell will join us at the bottom of the hour. Let's take a phone call. Let the calls begin. Here's Mike on the 42 Degrees, The Source hotline. Hey, Mike, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, I was one of those guys that wasn't really awfully sad to see Tony go myself. I know. I wasn't a basher, though. I think he's a good coach, and I think his defense will be better in the ACC or Big 12. I'm not a big 3-3-5 guy for the Big 10. I don't know. It just seemed like Tony put a great plan together to stop the run at Iowa. He did a very good job there early in the year. He did a great job stopping Colorado to stop the pass. But did we look like Heisman hopefuls? I mean, Illinois quarterback looked good, awful good against us. UCLA's quarterback looked good against us. There's a lot of quarterbacks that looked good against us. When a team could have a run or a pass, it was like, I don't know. I just don't think that 3-3-5 was made for the Big Ten, but we'll see. And also here's this, how exciting will you be if the guy they hired in July is defense coordinator, or what's that going to look like outwardly? Mike, I forgot his name, from Buffalo.
Yeah, John Butler.
Oh, John Butler. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, how's that going to look from the outside if we do that?
Yeah. Mike, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. So I don't think I don't think Matt Rule cares about how it looks from the outside. I think what he found with Dana Holgorsen is a guy that looks great from the outside because of his resume. But I think the chief reason he's here is because, well, I guess I shouldn't say, it looks good from the outside and he has a track record of fixing it, right? And that's one of the things that Matt Rule has decided, the offense, is he's decided, hey, look, I'm gonna go ahead and take my hands off this, and I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you with it. And he put a guy who's been a head coach and an offensive coordinator for a long time in charge of that. That looks awesome from the outside. I think more along the lines of what he's thinking about on the defensive side of the ball is not how does it look from the outside in terms of who we hire. Because, I mean, to Mike's point, I don't think it does. It probably doesn't look like anything. His whole thing was that he wants to be a defensive coordinator, which means he hasn't been a defensive coordinator, right? Like he wants to have a crack at this. So I think from Rule's perspective, it's let's put a guy here who aligns with my vision of what we want to do and how we want to coach and the the way in which we interact with people, and yes, the schemes, obviously, as well. But I kind of do you see how those are different, right?
Yeah.
Matt Rule hands off on offense now, and still hands in the cookie jar a little bit on defense. And I don't like that's. I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's a bad thing. But as far as how it looks from the outside, yeah, I mean, people had a really tough time swallowing the staff when Matt Rule got here. You're hiring a mid-20s wide receiver coach who's never done it before. You're hiring a defensive line coach who's only been an assistant line coach in the NFL, played, and then he hasn't coached at the Power 5 level like this. And Terrence Knighton, and those guys, I think, ended up being pretty good coaches. Now, Garrett McGuire is going to probably be looking for somewhere else because of the news that happened this morning with Nebraska hiring a new wide receiver coach, but we'll see. I know Matt Rule obviously thinks really highly of him. So what happens with Garrett McGuire is a question at this point, but I think everybody agreed, and we'll see what happens with Knighton as well, Mr. Pot Roast. Everybody agreed that guy's a pretty good coach.
Definitely.
Right?
I like that guy.
So, and it probably had something to do with the fact that he had old Nash Hutmaker and old Ty Robinson up front day one in a pretty good situation on the defensive line. Not to say he didn't do anything. But you know what I mean? Like, people always have a tough time swallowing it when it's not this guy with a great resume and is connected to all these players and stuff like that. And I just don't think that is necessarily important to Matt Rule, period. But in this specific situation, it's most certainly not important to him on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's going for alignment. He's going for vision on that side of the ball. And it has to kind of go with him. And I think you'll see hires in that sort of vein as a result of that. Right? Do we see how that's a little bit different from what it is on the offense? It's like, imagine you just remove the offense from the entire university. Dana Holgerson's the head coach of the offense at the University of Nebraska. You get to do whatever you please with it
because he has a track record, because he's done it in some other places.
Yeah.
And on the defensive side, we know that Matt Rule's
pretty opinionated.
He likes to have control, right? Yeah.
He's got takes on what it should be on the defensive side of the ball.
And if that's the side he's choosing to focus on, he can now do that because the offense is
that's just my read.
Secured.
For the record.
Right.
That's just my read. And to Mike's question, and I've just really seen this a lot over the last 2 days, obviously, and then going back to when Tony White was hired here. What does the 3-3-5 do in the Big Ten? Like, you guys watch the games, right? You guys watch the games.
I would think so.
I don't know what the percentage of the time that Nebraska had 3 down linemen and 5 or 3 linebackers and 5 defensive backs was. They were always multiple. It's always a multiple defense. But we like to put labels on things. It's like, 3-3-5 can't stop the run. Nebraska was one of the best run defenses in the country for each of the last 2 years. I don't understand how it doesn't work in the Big Ten. Like, we don't have to say things about retrospectively about what Tony White did or didn't do, or what the 3-3-5 did or didn't do based on him leaving. We could say that Nebraska had a good coach depart, but it still presents them an opportunity to be able to get better on the other side. What we're seeing across the board is a shift in maybe a vision or a shift in how you apply what you're doing to the football team after 2 years at Nebraska for Matt Rule. Here's how I want to do it now based on what I've seen. That's good. I think that is one of the most outstanding qualities of Matt Rule so far here. What have we seen? He is willing and able to make changes. And he knows what he wants. Even if that thing changes a little bit, he has a really good idea of what he wants. I always say this, but I think a main reason why the Scott Frost thing didn't work here is because they got really out of whack and stopped understanding what they want, or it became a combination of too many things. Like that's not to say that this is for sure going to work, because I don't know that for sure.
I wanted to ask a question about that.
Let me just finish this thought.
Sure.
I don't know if it's going to work for sure, but at least he has a good idea of what he wants and is going to implement that vision. And then you'll know one way or the other if it works or not. The results are going to be the results no matter what. I just don't want to get the coach stuck in this weird halfway point. Mm-hmm. He removed his offensive coordinator, he replaced him, and he's changing his involvement, and he's changing his view on what it takes to win games at Nebraska. The math equation is changing a little bit. Here you go, Dana Holgerson. We can't win games scoring 14 points a game. Go. Score more. Score 25. Score 28. And then we're gonna get you hooked up on defense too.
That 44 spot was nice.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Go ahead, Josh. What was your question?
We've seen enough coaches cycle in and out here out of Lincoln that we kind of know the timeline. And do you think that replacing in one offseason your offensive and defensive coordinator sort of lowers that guillotine on yourself a little quicker than if he had tried to keep it together with those guys? Obviously, I think Tony was out this offseason regardless of.
I see what you're saying. I think,
but like, do you think it sort of brings the chopping block? Does it put your own head on the chopping block? Like, okay, you're not going to get to change your coordinators again. Like, you're gone if this doesn't work.
Probably, but it would have been hard to swallow if they didn't do anything.
No, I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Change was necessary, and you were probably a season or two away from getting fired had you not changed your coordinators anyway.
I definitely don't think he thinks about it that way. He's just thinking like, hey, what do I have to do to put my team in the best position for success?
It's clearly not working. I got to make it work.
Generally, I would say, if anything, making moves like this, I don't think it gives you more time, but it certainly appeases the masses,
sure.
Right? If it's not going well and you change things, that's a good thing, right?
Right.
Because
right.
it signals, hey, we'd like to go and we'd like to try and make it work, and we'd like to try something different. If anything, like I said, it's I've said this before, like it's sort of an admission that maybe my original, like here's my vision, it's just been tweaked. And maybe you would say that this is in a sort of major way. It kind of is. Like I said, the math equation has sort of changed a little bit. So I don't know.
It feels pretty big.
I don't know if it.
I don't know how different the timeline would have been.
Like you take off X amount of time for firing and hiring coordinators and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that.
Because it's not a hard reset. Like you're not the
it kind of is.
I mean,
on rule. Are you saying on rules time or on like the program?
On rules time. Like
no, I mean you get however much time you get.
Yeah, it's not fully all the way like boom hard reset, but it does feel like okay, he's trying. I don't know that I'm appeased, but I like that he is willing to make those changes.
Yeah. That was part of my spiel that I had yesterday. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to be over the moon happy about this. You don't have to have blind faith. I will give you reasons why you should trust Matt Rule on defense. And it's that he's always been pretty successful, had a pretty successful defense wherever he's been at, And so you sort of trust the judgment, I suppose, in that regard. But you don't have to you don't have to believe in it. But I don't think it's a great reason to be like, hey, look, I'm out. This is not good. I'm not good. Because you had a bad or I guess to your liking, you had a bad day over the last couple of days, and guys have entered the transfer portal that you didn't want to see leave, or they lost a coordinator that you didn't want to see leave, or something like that. Like, no, Everybody's kind of going through
told
this
you a
across the
lot of
country.
this stuff was going to happen.
No doubt. Mitchell writes in
Hi, Mitchell.
on Twitter. He says, if I recall, Tony didn't have much say in the defensive staff. Yeah, I think that's part of this, right? I think Tony White probably wanted something a little bit different than what he ended up getting at Nebraska, just as far as the say he had in things. So if you're saying it's a lateral move from Nebraska to Florida State, Tony might argue and he would say like, yeah, maybe it is or whatever, but I'm getting a better situation here because of what, not a situation. People often think about it in terms of, where are you going where you could have more success, right? It's definitely not that. They're in shambles right now. Nebraska's not. They've had a pretty good defense over the last couple of years, right? But they are resetting personnel and stuff like that. So I think that factors in. It just felt like it was going to end here no matter what. And then from an organizational perspective, what do you want? Does your vision align with the head coach? Or does it or does your vision not so much align with the head coach in terms of what you're getting out of it? And then you look around a little bit. And credit Tony White. He said all the right things. All the right things. Really think highly of that guy. But I'm not going to fault a guy because he took a job that he feels like, in a place where he feels like, hey, we got a job to do here, and you hired me to fix it. We sucked this year. You hired me to fix it, so it's my job to fix it. I'm going to fix it. Like that is a different level of responsibility than what he was going to get at Nebraska. A lot of people thought, well, Tony's not going to leave unless it's a head coach job. Well, maybe in his mind, like, yeah, we're getting closer to that down here, and I have a lot of confidence in myself. So that's sort of how I would I'd frame up that yesterday. A few texts here. Here's Michael.
Hi, Michael.
On the text line. Connor, I think the real issue is who's the defensive coordinator next year. I mean, losing Bayer and Butler hurt in terms that they'd be returning starters with experience on a defense that will have a reset, and by all accounts, much younger and less experienced than you would like to see. While Bayer and Butler are replaceable and not world beaters, Rule needs to go get a defensive coordinator in place and start plucking some talent in the portal on that side of the ball next year. Yeah, for the record, at this moment, I do think it's going to be John Butler.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you think the candidate's already in Lincoln?
Yeah, I at this moment, that's the direction I think they're going, with some oversight from Phil Snow and with obvious oversight from Rule. But I do think that's probably the way that we're headed at this point. Don't hold me to that because things change, obviously. And yeah, if you're looking at it from the perspective of, well, we just lost a couple really productive players from this past year on a defense that's already going to turn over a whole lot. It would have been nice to have those guys back for sure. I think they're both really good. I think they're both good players. But I also, there's this once again, we don't understand nuance. It's very black and white with people. It's like losing Bayer and Butler is either the worst thing in the world or a non-story. And it's got it's all contextual. It all matters based on the context. All right. So what's Nebraska going to do with the defensive coordinator spot? What's their vision for the defense going forward? What do they have coming up? And I know it doesn't seem like this sometimes, but the transfer portal is open for people to come to Nebraska too.
We tend to forget that.
Yes, we do. Now that won't be happening in the next 6 days, but when the portal opens, Nebraska will be active in that game. And I think they feel good about the young talent that they have coming up. And I would imagine a selling point to a lot of those young players to stay at Nebraska is, all right, opportunity's yours. Nash, Ty, Jamari, they're all gone. Young defensive lineman, here we go.
Plenty of room.
And Bayer and Bullock are gone, and Singleton and Gifford are gone. And so there's a lot of ground to be covered on the defensive side of the ball. It doesn't have to always be about I want to be careful because I don't want to make the players seem like super replaceable. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if Nebraska feels good about its situation from an organizational perspective on the defensive side of the ball, and they feel good about the young players that are coming up through the system and have developed them at an appropriate rate and they're ready to step up or whatever, then it doesn't mean that their defense is going to suck next year. Right?
I was told by Matt Rule himself that the defense would never suck.
Well, Norm has a comment on that.
Norm.
He says you keep saying Rule had a successful defense everywhere he's been. Not trying to contradict that, but could you guys go over the numbers on that? I'm genuinely curious on how good they've been. Okay, that's a good research project, I suppose. I don't.
Oh, you haven't done that already?
Well, I have the sacks.
Oh yeah, 10 sacks equals, or 40 sacks equals 10 wins. Or something.
Where did I put that one?
I mean, how many sacks did we end up with this year? Not 40.
That's a great question. I don't even know.
Right.
Go ahead and check that out for me, actually.
I'll do some digging.
So, Rule, in his time in college, all I have is sacks and turnovers, but maybe this will give you a pretty good idea. Aside from his first year at Temple and his first year at Baylor and his first year at Nebraska, they've always been top 50 in turnovers gained. Sorry, just turnovers forced on the defensive side of the ball, except for 1 year, 2018 at Baylor, his second year at Baylor. And then, by the way, his third year at Baylor, they went all the way up to number 2. So that's turnovers. Turnover margin ranks outside of first year at Nebraska, Temple, and Baylor. 46, 46, 28, 117 second year at Baylor, and then 9 at Baylor in 2019, and then whatever they were this year at Nebraska. Yeah, that sacks number?
Yeah, it's 27. Only 6 players had multiple sacks.
Yeah. See, that wasn't good enough.
No.
That wasn't good enough this year. Last year they had 32. Remember the six games in, we kind of stopped and we were like, whoa, they're kind of pacing for it here.
I remember
because they were 5-1, and then the Indiana game came. It was like, oh god, what's going on?
Liked how they played against the run this year, though.
Sacks wise, I don't have their ranks in front of me, but in his years at Temple and Baylor, 19 sacks in his first year at Temple, bad. Middle of the road, 27. Second year at Temple, 32. And then 40 by his fourth year at Temple. They won a conference championship. 23, 25, and 46 in his third year at Baylor, where they went to the conference championship game. 32 last year and 27, like you said, this year. Both sort of middle of the road stats. But it maybe doesn't reflect so much in the rankings and it's just like, I think what he's talking about when he says, hey, we're going to have a good defense is that they're going to tackle and do fundamental things right. You know what I mean? That doesn't, now, to be fair, that doesn't get you to the end of the line. That doesn't, but at the same time, Iowa's been tackling for years and being in the right space for years, and they've had great defenses all the time.
Raises your floor, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what he's getting at. And with an improved offense, maybe that math equation makes a little bit more sense. All right, so I got a lot of emails. I got a lot of texts, all of which we can get to as we go on throughout the show today. Want to hear from you? 402-951-1620. 42 degrees of source hotline. Allan Bell's going to join the show coming up in a second.
AB.
First, I want to remind you that we are teaming with Share Omaha for Giving Tuesday, 2024. What is today, Josh? Tuesday, December 3rd. Donate through today on Giving Tuesday, and we're gonna celebrate what we can do as a community in the Metro in just 24 hours. You can support your favorite local nonprofit. Find all the details on our website at 1620thezone.com.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Allan Bell, the AB3 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
That's right. We're joined now on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline by Allan Bell of Driving the Line. AB, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Doing fantastic, man. How you doing?
Good. Sorry we didn't talk to you last week. We were in Vegas sitting by the pool doing shows, and it was a short show.
Well, I'll tell you this. You know what? That sounds a lot better than talking to me. You know what? You made the right decision. That's a good call.
But I felt bad. You would have really enjoyed it because we were just staring at a gigantic, at a gigantic odds board for the entire show, just watching it change. I think there was college basketball on during the day. It feels like an Allan Bell paradise. Are you a Vegas regular? Do you go there very often?
You know, I used to. I haven't been back in a while. I miss it. You know, it's weird. Like, now that sports betting's legal, you know, across pretty much, almost every state. Yeah, like, it kind of changes it. Like, honestly, when I go to Vegas now, it's craps. Like, that's what I love to play. I go there and just play craps, man. So,
that's pretty much what I except for craps, it was just bouncing between blackjack and roulette tables for 4 straight days and then and doing radio shows. So it was good. All right, give me a detailed report on your Thanksgiving plate and then the nap that ensued afterwards.
Oh, all right. So first off, the nap is always good. Now, this year, all right, there was a lot of cranberry sauce that was added in. I don't know if it was the same thing as like, apparently we're planting flags now, everybody in the rivalry week.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the text came from, but everyone was showing up with different cranberry sauces. And I loved it. I love all of them. I can't get enough. And here's the thing. You could make the nicest, like, 5-star chef. It's like, you know, it's got lottery tickets in it. Or you just dump it out of a can. I'll eat that, too. It's awesome, man. I didn't realize how much I love cranberry sauce.
Wow.
It was all good.
So this is a newfound thing for you? Like, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't gotten to that point in my life yet where I'm like, dang, I really enjoy cranberry sauce. Like maybe I'm a year or two away. I have no idea.
Yeah, you know, I might be going geriatric here. I don't know what it was, right? But also, and then that is, I figured out that the turkey is better if you get just invest in go to Publix or Hy-Vee or whatever, get nice rolls, all right, and just a lot of little mini turkey sandwiches, dude. I could eat. I bet I ate 12 of them. You know what I mean? And then was just out. It was nice.
I tweeted this out on I think it was Saturday. I was getting a little bummed out on so you have it Thursday, and then you probably still have it Thursday night, and then you have it Friday, and then you have it Saturday, and then it's kind of picked over. All the sides are picked over. And you're like, all the good stuff isn't really, and this is 2 days old by this point. But really, by Saturday, it's all over, you know. And there's an element of sadness that goes along. It's a bittersweet lunch that I had on Saturday, like morning/afternoon, just because I know that it's over. It's not coming back until next year.
You know what? Number one, you're right. Number two, I did actually see this conversation on Twitter, and somebody replied to you and said, "Well, you know, you could just go buy it and make it."
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. You're exactly right, dude. I thought that was the perfect answer. It's not the same.
It's not the same. So speaking of things that happened on Thanksgiving, let's go all the way back, even though it feels like it was probably about a year ago now. So we started off with a banger because the Bears had problems, and it was one of those games where people all say everyone agrees online, and they say, well, what Matt Eberflus just did in clock management there was a fireable offense. And it turns out it was a fireable offense. He actually got fired for it.
Yeah, when the Bears fire you mid-season, something they've never done, right? And you know what? Look, I mean, yeah, it was a fireable offense. But then the double down after the game.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's what did it, because it was like everyone on the planet could see, like, buddy, none of what you just did made any sense. Like, if you were going to run a play, then use the timeout. Like, nothing that you did and then you doubling down and not taking any accountability for it, to leave Caleb Williams kind of, involved in your lunacy. That once you doubled down, it was like, dude, this thing is done. It's over.
How close are the Pittsburgh Steelers to? We need to take them seriously with the Chiefs and the Bills of the world. Like, are they knocking on that door?
Dude, that's a great question, right? And I feel like every week, and I'm not saying like you or me, like everyone collectively, we look at it and say, okay, this is the game. They come back down to earth. The Bengals are going to score a bunch of points. They can't hang, then they put up 44. You know what I mean? Like, some reason, Jameis Winston's the only person that can beat this team. I don't know what it is. But no, like, they're for real. It's unbelievable. And now they're showing that they can play in any style of game. I don't want to take anything away from the players because they're playing their tails off. Mike Tomlin is unbelievable. He's unbelievable, man.
That's always the one every time. It's like, yeah, I know what the Steelers are. They've been the same team for the last 15 years. I wonder why. Oh, it's because of Mike Tomlin. Everyone just immediately defaults to him.
Let me say this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the best, most well-run small family business in America.
Yeah.
They are. They are efficient. They don't lay people off. It's always profit. Like, they're consistent. They're the best small family business in America.
And they have to weather some storms sometimes too. Like, give them credit. There was a lot of stuff coming their way when they made the change from Russell Wilson to Russell Wilson from Justin Fields and all of that stuff. And they just weathered the storm. It wasn't great at first. And now it's looking really good. He's found a new gear for his career, or I guess in this stage of his career anyway. I mean, that's what they do. They just weather the storms. They don't care what anybody else has to say.
No, and they've made Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both extremely likable. And I've never heard anything negative on Justin Fields. I've heard a lot of negative on Russell Wilson, and he's become the ultimate team player. It just goes to show you that, we talk about whether it's the football or it's life or it's work, whatever. A lot of people throw the word culture around. They take it seriously. That's a winning culture. You know what I mean? And if you don't play for the team, no matter who you are, you don't play there, man. It's incredible. What Mike Tomlin has built is just incredible.
So I have a theory, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later on in the show, but I'll proffer it to you here. So we've talked all year long in these interviews or during our NFL segments on the show about how awesome it would be if we got a Lions-Ravens Super Bowl, or some cool combination of teams that don't get there very often, like the Chiefs, don't get there for whatever reason, and all of a sudden we have the Super Bowl that has a lot of points on the board. Both teams are in the 30s, both teams are in the 40s, and we're kind of hoping for that this year. All that talk, and then we're just going to end up getting Eagles and Chiefs, and it's going to be 17-13, and everyone will complain afterwards. That's my new theory.
Absolutely. The Chiefs will win on a field goal. All right. It'll be exactly what you just said. And then Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift afterward and fully upset everyone on the planet. No, you're right. Okay, assuming the Chiefs don't get there, okay? You're right. A Bills-Lions would be
be so good.
Know what I mean? Yeah, or Ravens, like you said, man. I would love to see it. And look, man, I like talk. I like watching the Chiefs. I love watching, blue blood dominant teams, man. But I'm with you, dude. If we don't get the Chiefs, a Bills Lions for me would be awesome, or a Bills Packers. Dude, there are so many good NFC teams. It's great.
Is Josh Allen your MVP right now?
Yeah, he is. Saquon Barkley's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But unfortunately, look, I saw it. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards in a season, and they didn't even put him in the top 3. I don't know what a running back has to do, to get involved. I would love to see Saquon get it, but dude, what Josh Allen's doing, they're playing perfect football right now, man. They've scored 30-plus points in 6 straight games, won 7 straight games. This team is on absolute fire.
Yeah, I personally enjoyed when Josh Allen both threw a touchdown and caught a touchdown on the same play the other night for my fantasy team. So that was great for me. Awesome to watch.
the fantasy points, like if you go like ESPN or wherever you like play it through, like the machine doesn't know what to do. It's just smoking. Like, I don't know. Is this a catch? Is this a run? I know, man. Like Josh Allen, dude, he's incredible, man. He really is.
I mean, they scored 35 points in a snow game, like not quite a blizzard, but it was snowing the entire game, heavy snow, and there was snow on the field. They scored 35 points, and they got a couple turnovers, obviously. And McCaffrey was, he's done for the rest of the year now. But they've been really, really impressive now for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It reminded me, years ago, that snow game where New England beat the Titans like 85-0 in the snow. It reminded me of that. I was like, oh, I've seen this before. This ain't good, San Fran.
Yep. AB cannot. I mean, we're in the stretch run right now, so this is pretty exciting. We have a good game on Thursday night. Anything you like in Packers Lions so far? I know it's early.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I like Green Bay in this one, man. I love the Lions, but injuries are kind of piling up. I just think in this spot, Green Bay might try to keep this thing very low-scoring. I'm rolling with the under, even though that's the most unfun, unpopular thing ever. I think this could be an old-school football game.
Might be the smart play on Thursday nights, as we have seen so far this year. AB, thanks for joining as always. Appreciate it, and we'll talk next week.
I look forward to it, buddy. Take care, man. Thank you.
Allan Bell of Driving the Line. The Lions have been in a lot of these sort of primetime opportunities or like test opportunities this year, and they really haven't failed. I mean, they're obviously 11-1, but
they've won 10 straight.
They've won 10 games in a row. Their only loss was to the Bucks in week 2, but they've been put in these positions a few times this year, and they kind of always answer the bell, and they kind of always answer the bell convincingly too. So they're definitely a team to watch.
Not a short week for either team.
I cannot wait to discuss my theory with you during NFL Reaction Overreaction. Get ready. Get ready for pain and sadness.
I don't want to lean which way I am on that.
You're with me. You're with me. It's coming.
Boy, you raised some good points.
They are going to, no matter what, the scriptwriters of the NFL are going to give us the worst Super Bowl possible. And it'll be great. Because the Chiefs and the Eagles are like they're both incredible to watch in their own ways. Yeah. The Chiefs win games in inexplicable ways. The Eagles are now the slow-moving barge of the NFL. They don't turn the football over. They convert every third down, every fourth down that they have, and they have a really good defense. They are Big Tenning both teams are really Big Tenning their way to the Super Bowl or in the direction of the Super Bowl right now. And so we're going to dream up all these crazy matchups, and then we're going to end up with the worst one possible.
What if Lions, Bills, and it was two fan bases that have never had anything ever?
Nope. Can't have it.
Nope.
Not allowed.
Nope.
You're going to get the same Super Bowl you got 2 years ago.
You're going to get Jason Kelsey running around and Kevin Hart chasing him.
Uh-huh. And time is a flat circle.
Yep.
So can't wait to discuss that, even though we just kind of did at 12:30 today. We'll be back. Time for the odd news next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Hey, Josh, earlier the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Twitter account had a tweet.
A very good Twitter account.
At USC 1620. It said the best part of live radio is that we get to react immediately to news instead of having to wait for the best time to record a show. Listen to Happer show now and come join us at 2 for live reaction to everything that's happened and will happen during the Grum on 1620 The Zone. Is that a shot at podcasts?
It seems like that. I've seen many a tweet of, I was trying to record my podcast and more news broke.
I thought a rising tide lifts all ships. Shouldn't we handshake meme with the podcast? We have to decide right now. Since we are live radio, do we welcome the podcasts into our realm, or do we say, no podcasts up in here? This is the real deal. This is live radio.
I feel like we should probably embrace podcasts. It would be silly to
embrace podcasts, Josh says.
I don't know if I want to go to war with podcasts. There's just so many of them. I don't like our chances.
Theo would certainly advise against it.
Yeah. It'd be like 300. We could win.
Now, I have said before that I wouldn't mind if Thanos snapped half of the podcasts.
It would still be more than the number of radio shows.
Many more.
Yeah.
Many more. So maybe we got to decide.
That sounds like a dumb debate. Not to promote content on other people's shows.
What?
Who would win in a war, podcast hosts or radio hosts?
Are we talking about a physical altercation?
Yes.
Or are we just talking about like a territorial war?
No, like an actual war.
I mean, territorial war would be interesting as well. Like, we have, like, we're established. We have, there's like a big circle around us.
Mm-hmm.
Inside that circle, there's already a bunch of podcasts.
There are.
But we don't want them to start slinging arrows at us, because we can only take so many arrows.
That's right.
Right.
I'm very weak. I'm soft.
Maybe the right thing is to just sign them all up. Join our team. But we're still the boss.
The government's trying to remove AM radio from your car.
That's right.
But when a tornado hits, where are you going? AM radio.
1620 The Zone.
That's right. And nowhere else.
Listen to John Bishop read weather reports. All right, Josh, what do we got today?
We have a lot of stupid criminals today. We begin in Chesterfield County, Virginia, where police officers and sheriff's deputies gathered at a local Walmart Sunday for an annual Shop with a Cop event. That's when someone decided to shoplift from the store.
Well, bad time. Bad timing.
Possibly the worst time.
Try again.
A member of the staff at Walmart came up to us and informed us they had a shoplifting in progress. Lieutenant James Lamb told a local news station. Between the sheriff's department and police officers, we had about 50 uniformed personnel at the store. Uniform seems like a key word there.
Maybe if they were ununiformed, it would be a little bit more excusable.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know those guys were cops. Damn it. I just happened to rob this store on the worst day possible. No, you knew what you were getting into.
As we approached from different directions, he tried to escape out the back of the store where he was apprehended. I think he was stunned at our response time.
Yeah, I would think that their response time was in record pace.
We had 30 to 40 marked patrol cars in the parking lot. When we found his vehicle, it was facing where our cars were parked, so he would have had to see them. It seems like it just didn't matter to him, Lieutenant Lamb continued.
Yeah. Guys dead set on stealing something that day. Any word on what he stole from Walmart?
Not specifically. We do know it totals $1,400 worth of items, which is a definite felony.
Nice.
Good work. Good work by you guys.
Went for the big time.
Connor, have you ever gotten a Milky Way candy bar? Are you familiar with the Milky Way?
I'm familiar with it. I've never bought one before.
Okay.
I've had one.
So it has the little ripple on top of the candy bar, right? There's some texture on top of the bar.
Isn't that where the nuts are? Like the nuts are. Is there nuts in the Milky Way?
No. Milky Way is pretty much all caramel and nougat.
Or they put caramel, drizzle caramel over the top of it, and they dip it in chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting my candy bars confused.
That's okay. There's a whole episode of Seinfeld about it. It's fine.
The nougat.
They're all Twix.
Oh, yeah.
A British man was awarded $2.53 in compensation from the Mars Corporation after he unwrapped a Mars bar. Now, the Mars bar...
You don't see much of the Mars bar anymore.
Well, that's because it's a Milky Way in America and it's a Mars bars overseas. I don't know why. We're both in the Milky Way galaxy, if I remember
It's like
correctly.
a Kroger Baker's situation.
A little bit. Now, his Mars bar did not have the signature ripple on top. So Harry, 34 years old, Harry posted a photo
of it.
of his smooth candy bar on a Facebook group, and the post went viral. He bought it from a local gas station while en route to a classic car show. He wasn't seeking any compensation. He just wanted to know how this happened. He wasn't mad. He just wanted to know, throw out the process. It's all conveyor belts and whatnot. It's all machines. How could this possibly have happened?
Just being a good Samaritan, want to make sure it never happens again.
Yeah, and Mars did not answer his questions, but did cut him a check for $2.53, which is...
They just gave him his money back.
£2, yes.
No questions asked.
That's right.
Well, I don't want that. I want answers.
I would have wanted the answers as well.
Yeah. Jeez. Huh.
Little sad that we never got the answers, but good to know that there is a line of recourse if you get a misshapen candy bar.
I wouldn't even what do you do? I know a bunch of people who sign up for the all of the class action lawsuits and the rebates and stuff like that. And every once in a while they'll just get a check for $8 in the mail. It's you sign up for this class action lawsuit. Nice job. You got here's $5.50. What do you even do with that? What do you do with $5?
You bank it because it's $5 you didn't have yesterday.
No, you can throw it in the trash.
You're
gonna take the time to cash the $5 into your bank account. They're not sending you now. If they sent you a $5 bill, that's a different deal.
I
would love to have a $5 bill. I don't want a check for $5.
You can take a photo of them now, and
you can, but it's still a step that it's $5 more.
Sure,
it's $5.
I mean, I'm not throwing $5 away, but I would not put in a lot of work or effort to get the $5.
When they do that, now this is different than $5, but in Vegas, you cash out at the end of your slot run, and you're all the way down to you have less than a spin left, right? So maybe the minimum spin is $1.80, right? And you don't have $1.80 anymore. You have $1.42. They don't give you cash that comes out of the machine. They give you a little slip, and it says $1.42, and then you have to take it to the thing. You have to take it to the machine. You put it in, and that gives you $1. At which point they will give you another slip that says 42 cents on it.
Oof!
Ain't no way in hell I am cashing that $1.42. No way. I'm throwing it in the trash. In fact, in most of the casinos, they have little boxes where you could just put your empty slips, or your 85-cent slips. Now, if you added all that stuff up, that's money worth keeping. But it's just not worth the hassle for me.
We go to Minnesota for our final story today. After allegedly stealing a van, which she later sold for scrap metal, a Minnesota woman made an incriminating entry in her diary, cops claim.
Okay.
Vanessa Guerra wrote in her journal or diary, whatever you want to call it, quote, "Totally stole a car today, something I never thought of doing, effing super freaking out about it."
And that's how that was the paper trail?
That was the paper trail, yes.
Yikes.
Investigators allege the 30-year-old made that written admission of guilt on the same August day that a Brown County man reported his 2004 Ford Freestar was stolen.
Maybe that's what they should do. They should have everyone turn in their diaries
That's
when
right.
they're looking for people who committed crimes.
The van, worth $2,000, was sold for scrap at a salvage business nearby. Witnesses at the auto salvage business stated that Guerrera had brought the van in and sold it to him. During the probe, a sheriff's investigator was able to locate a journal belonging to Guerrera containing her written exclamation that she stole a car today. When contacted by the investigator, Guerrera denied knowing that the vehicle was stolen. Guerrera,
let me see your diary,
who had recently worked as a DoorDash driver, has been charged with a pair of felonies.
Is stealing a car like something that you aspire to do? Like, I'm just trying to think of, because obviously she said she really just thought about it for the first time and then just acted on an impulse.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if people who steal cars regularly, like, grow up and write in their diaries, like, one day I'm going to steal a car.
This is what I was born to do.
I'm going to steal many cars.
The article doesn't tell me. How does the investigator get to
a
the
hold
point?
of the diary? Yeah, great question.
I got a hunch it might be in your diary. Do you have a diary? Oh, sure. Here you go, officer.
Yeah,
I assume there was more of a search warrant.
I didn't know they
situation.
could confiscate a diary.
Yeah, well, you get a search warrant, you can do anything you want.
I guess
right?
so. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. That is definitely a trio of dumb criminals.
Platcat with a quick tweet, if I may.
Go ahead. We got 10 seconds.
I'm still part of an ongoing class action lawsuit of when the horse took steroids and won the Kentucky Derby.
Good luck on getting that one paid out, Platcat. We'll be back noon hour after this on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back to live radio. Remember, this is AM radio.
The superior audio format.
Still in AM radio. Here's a email from the Equitable Bank inbox from MB.
Hi, MB.
You dopes.
Whoa.
There is clearly room and a purpose for both live radio and podcasts. Live radio excels at today's current events and immediate storylines. Podcasts are best at big picture analysis, historical views, and long interviews. I enjoy both genres. And be interesting, because I was told that radio is dead. I was told that radio has been passed by, that podcasts are the way.
If you think radio is dead, I invite you to listen to our radio replays, which are
our podcasts.
Just podcasts.
Just
1620thezone.com.
We do both. We do both, Josh.
That's right.
And we do them well.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we might not know what we're going to say on a minute-to-minute basis. It's a live podcast. I always laugh when people do live podcasts, too.
Oh,
live, it's a live podcast.
Hey, we're recording a live podcast. All right.
We're doing a live podcast, too. Every day.
Every day.
For 4 hours.
Every day.
All right. Let's take a break from football for just 1 second because I have something that I'd like to talk about. By the way, we get a text from Sindelar.
Hi, Alex.
Poll question: is stealing a car a crime of passion?
Okay.
Put it up.
I'll work on that.
But no, this is something I want to talk about. And it's something that you're probably going to hear about on today's unsportsmanlike conduct.
With those nerds.
Yeah. Now, I thought to defend our dear friend, young Nick Grimm, I thought that he would love this. But he does not.
He's oddly a baseball purist.
Yeah, he's a baseball purist who just found out about baseball like 2 years ago.
But I would say he's a purist about nothing else. Like he's welcoming innovation in all other aspects of his life.
He loves new and cool things, except for this. He doesn't like it when it happens, or maybe he does. I don't know. Specifically, it's hard to know where he lands on some things. Anyway,
contrarian behavior.
There was an article on The Athletic posted by Jason Stark yesterday entitled, "The Golden at Bat Rule Could Give MLB a New Shine, but Is It Worth It?" Speaking of podcasts, the commissioner of baseball was on a podcast.
A podcast?
It's from a publication that you now know about, Josh, called Puck.
Oh, yeah.
With John Orand. He moved over to Puck.
Why is it called Puck?
I don't know. It must have something to do with hockey. I get emails from Puck 3 times a day. I'd like to leave. Take this as my verbal notice that I'd like to be off of the Puck subscription list. Thank you.
I mean, like 6 months ago, it was the Sports Media Watch podcast or something. I understand he went to something.
He went to Puck.
Yeah, he went to Puck, but why not keep the name that tells me what you are?
I don't know. He went. It's a totally different publication. I have no idea. So the commissioner of baseball went on John Orand's Puck podcast and said something. Well, I'll just read you the quote. Quote: "There are a variety of rule change ideas that are being talked about out there," Manfred said. "One of them, there was a little buzz around it at an owners meeting, was the idea of a golden at bat." Now, what's a golden at bat?
I'm wondering the same thing.
What's a golden at bat? Stark writes, "First off, it's not to be confused with the golden goose, the golden retriever, or even the golden arches, or any other golden things that people like to talk about. It won't set you up for life, bark at the mail truck, or add 1,500 calories to your digestive system in the next 7 minutes. But it is an idea that would change everything about how baseball, the ultimate team sport, has always worked. So what is it? All right. What is the golden at bat? What if a team could choose one at bat in every game to send its best hitter to the plate, even if it wasn't that guy's turn to hit? That's the golden at bat. Basically, people got really obsessed with the idea of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani facing each other for the game at the World Baseball Classic this past time it happened. And we're like, why don't we just manufacture a rule to make this happen? This is a great idea.
What if the number 9 hitter didn't have to hit?
Say, Stark writes, there are 2 outs in the 10th inning in October. The Yankees and the Guardians are tied. But in this alternate, this is a thing that happened. But in this alternate October universe, it's not Juan Soto who is due up. It's, say, Oswaldo Cabrera. All apologies to Oswaldo Cabrera.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this case, if the golden rule exists, the golden at bat exists, the Yankees say, no, thank you. we're going to put Soto up there, not Oswaldo Cabrera. And then he hits a home run, and everybody gets really happy, and everybody talks about how cool Juan Soto is.
See, he did it. He did it. He's so clutch.
I cannot believe that this theory and this idea was proffered by the Major League Baseball commissioner on a Puck podcast. This is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. It is the most antithetical thing to baseball. It is a great example of how the commissioner of baseball, A, hates baseball, and B, has no idea what baseball is. That guy is an idiot. I can't believe these words came out of his mouth publicly. I understand thinking it maybe or listening to people talk about it, but saying it, this one had some buzz. Rob, you have to be kidding me. This is, once again, the most antithetical thing to baseball that you could possibly do. Baseball is the most organic and random sport that we have. Countless postseason moments in our sports history, or hell, even regular season moments in our sports history, come from people that we never, ever talk about, ever, and that are not stars of the game. And so we're going to manufacture a way to get the stars up in crucial situations. Only so, I mean, what would happen as a result of this would be baseball would turn into what we talk about with the NBA, which is win championships and Hall of Fame and how many moments did you have in your career. We would start judging players exclusively on how they perform in these at-bats, or if they get put up to at-bat in that situation.
What's his GAB rating? What's his golden at-bat rating?
Yeah, how does he do in golden at-bats? I don't know. He only hit 212 in golden at-bats in his career. It is so dumb, and it is the least organic thing that I've ever heard. It's the most antithetical thing to baseball that I've ever heard. This is absolutely absurd.
Hey, what if Tariq Skubal got a little loose in the fourth inning and had two runners on, and we put Juan Soto in just to see if we could really run up the score on him?
There's so many possibilities. You can deploy it whenever you want to deploy it. Great. Let's take away all of the rules. Let's make it so pitchers can pitch to only some batters. How about that? Why do we make it so Tariq Skubal can come in on his off day in the third inning, throw 3 pitches to get the best hitter out, and then leave? Why do we make that?
What's stopping me?
I guess you could do that, and then come back into the game later.
What's stopping me from? You're using your golden at bat here. Well, I'm gonna plunk him right between the numbers in his back. I'm gonna put one right in his back.
Stupid.
Every single time, and then no one will use the golden at bat against me because they know their precious slugger is going to get beamed.
I just wanted to say that we're not going to talk about this for very long.
This is a July sports radio topic.
I know
that a commissioner.
I'm angry.
The commissioner of a league is given legs.
I'm angry. I'm angry at the commissioner.
Yeah,
this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. And it makes me angry that I read this story on The Athletic, and Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the big pictures. He says, there is also this potential wrinkle. The Royals could use their golden at bat to let Bobby Witt Jr. lead off the ninth. He makes it out. But who's batting second? What do you know? Bobby Witt Jr. He could have 2 at bats in the 9th inning because he's 2 up and he can take the golden at bat. Why don't we just make the whole sport Bobby Witt Jr.? Why don't we turn the plane into Bobby Witt Jr.?
I agree, baseball. What if everyone who played baseball was good?
What if everyone who played baseball was Bobby Witt Jr.? That's stupid. I know it sounds cool and fun, but it's not. It's bad. All right, moving on. Back to the transfer portal. Princewell Umanmielen. Remember him?
I do, yes.
He's going in.
Oh, he's in.
He's going in. That's according to the.
What's your source?
That was the graphics guy.
Hayes Fawcett.
Faze Hossett. Yeah. Yeah. And other local media folks have confirmed this movement. Mr. Princewell going into the portal. I wish my scholarship distribution chart still worked.
Oh no, it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it works, but it just is too confusing now.
Oh yeah, you don't know the. I guess we do know the exact number that's going to be. We think we do, right?
105.
105.
105. So you have. I mean, you already have. I don't know. Hell, I don't know how many guys Nebraska has on scholarship right now.
True.
I know the roster has to come down from where it is, but then there's a whole bunch of other. Like, I don't know. But principal's in the portal. You guys want to freak out? Are you? What's your freak out level on this one? 1 to 10. You losing it? When you pair it along with losing Mr. Jamari and Mr. Bear.
I'm going to go 5.
So you are at least mildly freaked out.
It is of note. I'm going
It is of note.
I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to exhale, and I'm going to hope that the portal giveth and the portal taketh away.
Yeah, they'll get some guys. They'll get some guys out of the portal.
Damn well better.
They'll get some guys out of the portal. That's for sure. Principal's a loss. So
sure.
Once again, these guys are going to enter the portal, and my reaction, pretty much stock reaction to these things, are going to be, yeah, dang, darn it, that stinks. And don't take that as me not caring as to whether they're entering. Like, obviously, Nebraska, would have preferred to keep him as a football player, right? They would have preferred to keep Mekhi Bear, and they would have preferred to keep Jamari Butler, likely, unless they were told differently in the meetings, which I can't necessarily see. Those are 3 relatively productive players on varying levels. But also at the same time, I'm not trying to write it off as nothing, but there's going to be some of this. Guys are going to enter the transfer portal, and Nebraska is going to get guys out of the transfer portal. I think those guys are good players. I think Nebraska would probably prefer to have them.
Definitely good players. Wish them the best.
But I think what people do, and they take it the next step, and they ultimately end up saying, like, this is a horrible reflection on the program. They have all these guys entering the portal. Their coaching staff is changing completely. Like, the sky is falling. Right?
What? No, it's the state of the game.
There you go, Josh. Yeah, tell me about it.
This happens. A lot of programs have this happen. LSU and Texas are seeing people go and flip recruiting. Like it. These players are zigzagging all across the country.
And Nebraska, with their multiple coordinator changes this offseason, will probably have a little bit more than some schools that stood pat this offseason.
Yeah.
Just because you can enter the transfer portal.
Movement begates movement, or something like that.
Chris in Montana writes in.
Hello, Chris.
Sure makes it look like Mr. Pot Roast is going as well, considering the exodus at that position. Kind of does. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I know it was reported a little bit yesterday, but I haven't heard anything else on it. So maybe not. But there definitely is some movement along that defensive line. It's definitely interesting that Nebraska, we talked about this throughout the year a couple times. Like, they have they really leaned hard on Ty Robinson and Nash Upmaker, and then obviously they got some Vin Popple there at the end of the year and Jamari Butler. They leaned hard on those guys, and I think they probably played guys like Princewell and Len Hart not as much as you would have thought based on their performances last year.
Yeah.
And so maybe Nebraska is seeing some of the effects of that. And you would think, year over year, okay, you're going to lose a whole bunch of seniors. You're going to lose guys who gave you the majority of the snaps in the defensive line. Time for the next guys to step up. And then it's those guys that are entering the transfer portal. That's odd. For sure.
Raises an eyebrow.
It definitely does. And I think there's probably room for a little bit of frustration in there as well. As a texter writes in, those guys are still players that achieved a subpar season. They'll get better. So you're saying Nebraska? So this texter is saying Nebraska will get better players out of the transfer portal.
That's the way I'm hearing it. Those are players from a 6-6 team that are leaving.
See, I don't know. Am I playing the middle too much here? Because I don't know that I would say that either. Like, there's no guarantees that they're going to get better players out of the transfer portal. There's no guarantees of that. This is going back to the all in or all out thing. You don't have to be. There's no rules that say you have to blindly agree with everything that is happening and then excuse it all away or hate everyone and fire everyone. There's no rules that said you have to be on one side or the other here.
There's currently a very interesting Twitter back and forth going on between John Bishop and our next guest, Jacob Bigelow.
John Bishop.
Who, Jacob is of the position of, hey, yeah, sad to see Tony White go. He did a lot of good things, but let's not pretend that, the Nebraska defense this year was the 85 Bears. Like, you could potentially get better.
Yeah. 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 I'll be interested to hear more from Jacob here in a little while because he's been sort of outspoken about.
I hope I'm not misstating his position there.
How he feels about Nebraska's former defensive coordinator and all those things. So we'll talk to him in just a little while. Let's take a phone call here on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. This is Douglas. Hey, Douglas.
Hey, guys. This is Douglas. I'm a corn jay, just to clarify. I think I've shared that opinion.
A corn jay.
Yeah.
Is there a difference there between a corn jay and a jay skir?
Yes. Cornhuskers first, jays second.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Gotcha. All right. Anyway, and I'd agree with, Tony White. His gimmicky defense. I think some of the other offensive coordinators cracked the code on that. Some didn't, but it's out there, and more will. But if he can, good luck to him. Whatever. He wasn't, good, but there's others out there, so I'm okay with that. I'm glad we're keeping Hogo for sure. More important, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think. Oh, well, Douglas, is that all you had to say? By the way.
I'm going to stop right there, but thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Douglas. It was a corn jay. Once again, I think Tony White's a pretty dang good coach. I'm a huge fan of Tony White. Like I think he's pretty dang good, and I do think Nebraska's defense was pretty dang good over the last 2 years. And frankly, and we've talked about this throughout the season as well. I don't necessarily think all that highly of some of the older players that were playing defense for Nebraska this year. Not to say that the younger ones are going to be better, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, Tony White rode on the coattails of the defense that he inherited, which was extremely old and seasoned. Like, that is not my position. That is not my position at all. I think Tony White is a good defensive coordinator. And I think the reason that he's not here anymore is because, partly because his vision didn't align with the coach, or control didn't. We got a text earlier about, it was either a text or a tweet somewhere. It was something along the lines of, hey, they brought in Phil Snow. They brought in John Butler. He got the coordinator in waiting thing. And I said this earlier too. And no, he didn't. People would say he's the coordinator in waiting. He didn't necessarily have that bestowed upon him. And then they brought in Phil Snow for oversight. And that probably just didn't sit well with Tony White. I agree.
Why are you bringing in a bunch of guys to analyze my defense? My side of the ball's working.
Totally. Didn't we get that tweet earlier? Or am I just imagining that? Is that just something?
Probably. We get so many tweets. We're very popular.
We are getting a lot of tweets at this moment. Yes. By the way, Doug writes in on Twitter, different than Douglas. Only the saddest J-score in the world would come up with something like corn jay.
Oh no.
I don't know what the difference is.
Well, J-score is a J first.
No, it's not. It's just both. There is no connotation. There is no like this one's first, this one's second. No.
I just want to let you know.
That's not what the word J-skur means. It doesn't mean J and then skur. It just means J-skur. Just because you say J first doesn't mean you are J first.
I'm a Husk J. We don't say that.
Stupid. That's dumb. That's all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Douglas, but that's stupid.
Many people.
I don't think that's going to catch on.
Many people are calling Corn Jay Mushy.
Kind of. Omaha writes in on YouTube.
Hi,
Jay
Omaha.
should be first.
Oh,
who cares who's first? I feel like the guy in the Miller Lite commercial. It's both. It's both. It's both.
Quick piece of news that will interest Creighton.
Oh God,
fans. Alabama's Latrell Wrightsell Jr. expected to miss the rest of the season.
Oh man, what?
After rupturing his Achilles in a loss to Oregon.
Oh no! Yeah. At the Players era. Dang it! That's hard. That's tough to hear.
A lot of people with a lot of negative things to say about the Players era tournament.
Really? I don't have any negative things.
I mean, well, you wouldn't. You didn't go 1-2 or 0-3.
Who's saying negative things about the Players era?
Well, I don't think Latrell Wrightsell Jr. likes it very much.
Probably he doesn't like the fact that he tore his Achilles.
I mean, I'm going to guess Greg is a little chapped that his team went 1-2 and his best player didn't play and win.
But it's about the opportunities.
It's about the $1 million.
It's about the $1 million, and it's about the opportunities.
That's right.
You know, by the way, that there's going to be 1 billion teams in that field for next year's tournament.
Why wouldn't there be? Who would say no to $1 million?
I don't know how they're going to do it. How are they going to play all those games in that tiny baby hotel?
Who's funding this?
I don't know where the money's coming from. How many days is it going to be? 100? You know who you won't see there? Dan Hurley.
That's right.
Dan Hurley's not interested.
I'm not doing MTEs ever again.
That's so stupid. Guy loses twice in Maui, and he's like, the tournaments are canceled.
Never again.
All right. We'll come back. It's time for NFL Reaction Overreaction. Coming back on 1620 The Zone. And the Huskers have a dog food of the official dog food of the University of Nebraska. I think it is a heck of a.
Wow, really?
So they're giving out a pup of the month, the Husker pup of the month. It turns out this month it's going to Merritt Beeson's dog, who has an Instagram page.
Oh, okay.
Mila Beeson. And there are many pictures of Mila, who is a dog, and has 2,000 followers.
It's a lot of followers for a dog.
It gives you a pretty good idea of where we're at. Hey, check out Barrett Beeson's dog.
Travis on YouTube says, "Okay, but that pup is cute AF."
It's a good-looking dog. I will admit that.
Wow. It's noted dog hater Connor Happer.
I don't know what kind of dog it is, but it's a pretty cute dog. It looks like I don't know. It's got blue eyes. What kind of dog is this, Josh?
I don't know.
What kind of dog is that? You know your dogs, don't you? It's what is that?
It's not a husky, but
yeah, it kind of looks like it though.
If you didn't know a bunch of dog breeds, you only knew like 6 different dog breeds, you would call that a husky.
Yeah. What's that? Here, I'm gonna put it up to the camera. What's this dog?
That actually might be a husky.
What's that dog? Yeah, I think it's just a husky.
Huskies are cute.
They are. The huskies with the blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
See those every now and again. Those are cute dogs. I saw a husky once who has different colored eyes.
Ooh.
One's blue and one was green or something.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Many are telling us it's just a husky.
See, I don't know my dogs. You guys know this. You guys know this about me. All right. Welcome back to the show. Let's do NFL reaction, overreaction. The writers have written us some things. By the way, Nebraska only got one player on the first, second, or third team all Big Ten list today.
Disrespect.
And it was big ass Ty Robinson.
A lot of guys glossed over.
Hey, it's a big conference, Josh. It's a big conference.
Some might say too big.
Defensive honorable mention, Johnny Bullock, Malcolm Hartzog, Nash Hutmaker. Offensive honorable mention, Bryce Benhart, everyone's favorite player. Bryce Benhart.
Wasn't there a call in that Big Red Overreaction?
There was multiple calls about Bryce Benhart in the Big Red Overreaction montage. Yes, that's right. All right, here we go. Let's react to some things.
All right, writers, let's see what you're cooking this week. Take number 1. It's time to put some respect on the Vikings name.
Nope, it's not. Why is this in here, writers?
That's what I keep saying every week. But the Vikings keep winning.
So there's a lot of comps. And listen to the way we talk about the Chiefs on this show. We have a great, deep appreciation for the Chiefs on this show.
That's right.
Because they don't do anything special. They just win. Meanwhile, the Vikings are across the way, not doing anything special, just winning every single time. So what's the difference, Connor? How could you be so one-sided and biased toward the Chiefs?
What's the difference between the Chiefs and the Vikings?
You're getting there, Josh. Yes, there is a championship pedigree there. And most importantly, still ain't nobody want to see Patrick Mahomes in January. You know who I'd love to see in January? Sam Darnold.
Oh, interesting.
I'd love to see that guy in January. I'd invite him over to my house.
Now, to be fair,
I think Sam Darnold's been great this year. He's been excellent. He's been way better than anyone could have imagined as the quarterback of the Vikings. Doesn't matter. He's still Sam Darnold until he's not.
I don't think you know what Sam Darnold can do in January.
Yeah. Probably not. Probably not.
They are, oh my goodness, they are 10th in the league in passing.
Also, the Vikings, when they get to the playoffs, always crap their pants.
They always do.
So, no respect.
9th in points, 5th in points against.
Yeah. No, Darnold has actually been awesome this year.
Yeah.
But you can't apply things that you see in the regular season to the postseason a lot of the times. I know it sounds difficult to believe, but that might be the case.
I will be interested in the Vikings' final 3 games at Seattle versus Green Bay at Detroit.
Oh, they'll probably win. They'll probably win 2 of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
I can't trust them against the Lions in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I can't trust them against the Eagles in the playoffs. Who else in the NFC would I? I guess they're kind of the next team up in that regard.
They did lose their home game against the Lions earlier this season by 2 points.
I don't know. Smells like a team. Well, they're probably going to end up getting the wild card, so they'll probably be the top wild card in the NFL, or the NFC, which means they'll probably go on the road to some crappy division champion, probably Atlanta or Tampa.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see Atlanta or Tampa winning that game.
See, that's
why.
You put them next to each other in a potential playoff game, and you just don't trust them
anymore. That's exactly why. Not time.
Take number 2.
Yeah.
I don't know why the writers went with it's time.
It's time
for both takes.
What is it time for now, writers?
Get a thesaurus, writers. It's time for the Niners to move on from Kyle Shanahan.
No, it is not time for that.
No, you're saying overreaction.
That is an overreaction. It is not time for that.
But the team is broken year in, year out.
They're going to have a reset.
They need a new voice.
No, they don't. They're going to have a roster reset. They're, they're going to have to change some things. They might be going through rebuild, reset, whichever way you want to put. I don't know if it's a full rebuild. Like they're not the Panthers or anything. Like there's a good core there. He's still a really good coach. They still have really good ownership and general man. Like it's a good franchise. It's a good organization. They don't need to part ways with a really good head coach just to signal that they're moving into a different era.
Hey, everybody,
they're moving into a different era.
Changing.
There's no there's very few guys I'd rather have in charge of a situation like that than Kyle Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get the most out of his pieces. I still believe that. No, it is not time for that. They should not do that.
The Niners are weird. I mean, obviously, I think their problems are more defensive than offense. Offensive, they've had a bunch of injuries, but they're top 10 in passing and rushing, but not in points.
Yeah,
like just really, really, really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree, overreaction, but that seems to be the.
No, they're definitely moving into a different phase.
Seems to be the topic on the chit chat shows today.
Their Super Bowl window is for sure over.
Mm-hmm.
For sure over.
Yeah. It has to evolve. Take number 3. Our sweet, sweet boy, Josh Allen.
Thank you, writers.
Is the NFL's most valuable player.
That's right, Josh.
Yeah.
What a life he lives.
Allan Bell stole my thunder on this one because that was the point I was going to regurgitate for everyone. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards and did not even come close to winning the NFL's MVP. Maybe if you break Eric Dickerson's record, you will be considered for the award, but it is a quarterback award. It is a narrative award, and in primetime solo window games, Josh Allen is delivering.
Are you tricking yourself into believing yet that that this could be it could be time for the Bills? That it might be Bills time?
I'm beginning to, yes.
Yeah. Me too.
I think if
Me too.
Like
if we get a Bills Chiefs AFC Championship game, first of all, it depends on where that game might be located. That's important.
It is very, very.
But I don't know. It would be like all the other Bills Chiefs playoff games where it would go to the last possession of the game for sure. But maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for the Buffalo Bills.
I am beginning to trick myself. Yes. Take number 4. With all the potential fun and exciting new matchups on the table, we will end up getting a 17-13 Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl.
That's right. That's a perfect reaction.
Yeah.
Great take by the writers. The NFL has said we have to do everything possible to make sure the Super Bowl is the worst thing we've ever watched. This is our life now. We went through a nice run of exciting Super Bowls, and now we're in a horrible run of ass Super Bowls.
It is hilarious.
And it's all the same teams every year.
Right.
Oh, what's that?
That's
Chiefs Niners, Chiefs Eagles. Perfect. This is all the Chiefs' fault for the record.
17-13 Super Bowl between two marquee franchises is not necessarily ass, but boy, I'd have trouble getting super excited over it.
No, I mean, just think about that week or those 2 weeks. If it was Lions Bills.
Oh.
I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We would be so fired up. It'd be new. It'd be fresh. We're coronating Detroit. We're coronating Josh Allen.
Daily check-ins with Chance.
It would be so much fun for those 2 weeks talking about the potential of that game and the explosiveness potentially of that game. 30 points, 40 points. What's the number that we have to get to? Is it 38? Is it 42?
Vegas set the line at what? Easy money.
Yeah, Vegas set the line at 60 for the Super Bowl. This is absurd. But yeah, we're getting Eagles Chiefs. We're getting the slow-moving barge and the team that doesn't turn the football over and doesn't make mistakes. That's now the Eagles. And the Chiefs, who are always there for some godforsaken reason because they just keep finding ways to win football games. They keep doing it. Nobody will stop them from doing it. And so they'll play in a Super Bowl. It'll be sloppy and ugly, and it'll be slow, and it'll be 10-3 at halftime. And we'll enjoy it because it'll be a competitive football game, and it'll come down to the little things. It'll be a great chess match. It'll be a great opportunity to talk about Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid and the war, the chess match that those two have against each other. But it won't be. We will not get what we want out of this NFL season.
The only thing we'll talk about the day after is why did Kendrick Lamar play Not Like Us 11 times in a row?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I probably won't care about talking about that.
Oh, we should. Yeah. Take number 5. I feel sad watching once great kickers lose their touch.
Good take, writers. It's glad to know that the writers have a soul.
Yeah. And
because watching Justin Tucker miss field goal after field goal is pretty gut-wrenching. It hurts my heart a little bit. I liked Justin Tucker.
Oh, yeah. And
I liked watching Justin Tucker bomb field goals from however long out, control the ball the way he controls the ball.
Just knowing it's going to go in.
And then he got all the way to the point last year where he was, trying to taunt the Chiefs prior to the AFC Championship game. And
it was great.
Yeah. Travis Kelce had to throw his helmet away and Mahomes was kicking it around and stuff like that. That's Justin Tucker. That's the kicker with the most swag that we've seen in a long time. And he's lost it. It's all gone. He's got the yips. He can't kick it straight. It's not good.
And for the Ravens, it also sucks because Justin Tucker has reached a point where you are not just going to cut him like a regular kicker, and they're not going to do the thing they have to do, which is old yeller him out back by the practice facility.
No, they have to stick with him.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
until the offseason.
Until it dies. Mm-hmm. It might cost him.
It very well might. Last take. Tougher out in the postseason. Chargers or Broncos?
There you go, Broncos fans. You finally get your moment.
Wow.
You finally get your time.
A moment for the Broncos.
I don't know why, but I just have an easier time convincing myself on the Chargers than I do the Broncos. It's just less difficult for me to convince myself because you can make the argument that neither team is very good, or you could make the argument that both teams are pretty good. But how it looks in the AFC right now, the Bills have already clinched their division. Mm-hmm. There's whoever wins the AFC North, the Texans out of the AFC South, the Chiefs out of the AFC West, and then there's probably one more spot for an AFC North team, and then one more spot or two more spots for both of those teams if it holds as it stands right now. So both of them are probably going to be in the playoffs at this point, unless something drastically changes in the last few weeks here. But I'm asking, or the writers, are asking which one is the tougher out. And I just have a less difficult time convincing myself that the Chargers are a tough out in the playoffs, considering their defense and Lad McConkey. I don't know. I do love Lad McConkey.
Oh, yeah. No.
I did. Poll question. Do you love Lad McConkey?
Do you love Lad McConkey? We can do that. Yeah. They're the same team, but you're forcing me to choose here. I'll take the Chargers because they've only allowed 188 points this season.
Their defense is awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go into a real shell in offense. And Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's staple.
By the way, nobody wants to talk about it, but the Detroit Lions are very quickly Also, not allowing a lot of points.
Nobody wants to talk about that?
Well, their offense gets all the headlines because it's an offensive league.
It is Is it an offensive league? What kind of league is it?
It's a quarterback league, right?
I guess so. And what the Lions are doing on offense is pretty special. Travis writes in.
Hi, Travis.
He's been talking about the Broncos all show long today.
Did you watch them last night?
How dare you hate on the Bo Nix experience? I've idly stood by and accepted Connor's disrespect of babies, women, and dogs, but I will absolutely not stand for this Broncos disrespect. I just prefer the other team. I'm sorry. Maybe if they beat the Chiefs, then I will finally say, fine, it's Broncos time.
Chargers have a chance to beat the Chiefs this Sunday.
The Broncos have one more crack at it as well. Broncos country, let's ride.
Not for me.
You're with the Chargers as well?
I guess.
Your thing is you're mostly out on both of these teams. You're like,
in terms of like contenderness.
Yeah, yes. I mean that's already decided.
Yeah.
We have our contenders. That's over.
Uh-huh.
Now you're just fighting for playoff spots at this point.
Which I think they both will get.
That is NFL Reaction Overreaction. We'll be back. Josh's bottom 5 NFL teams. Bears are number 1. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Damn it!
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, Jacob Bigelow is going to join us here in 10-15 minutes. We'll argue about the merits of Tony White and the merits of everything in basketball, things of that nature. Hoops. Yeah, we can talk some hoops. We'll talk some hoops. Don't worry. But first, Josh's bottom 5 NFL teams. It's very interesting that a certain song wasn't played on the way in. Thank you.
I just wanted to give it the ramp up it deserved. I knew you were going to tease the guests.
Good scout. You know what sucks? The weather.
Yeah.
It's real cold.
Yeah.
Like this is these last couple days. Today it's not so bad, but like I could deal with the 30s. If we're doing the teens, it's just not for me.
Thought I was ready. Not really ready.
No.
Not really ready for it.
It always bites. All right, Josh, who's number 5?
God, come on. Take forever.
Number 5.
Never done this before. The AFC East minus the Buffalo Bills.
The whole division minus the Bills.
Yeah. They're 11-26 combined. Aaron Rodgers said another stupid thing after another stupid loss. There's 11 people on the field. Sometimes it's my fault.
Who would like to employ Aaron Rodgers next year? We're going to find out soon.
Pat McAfee.
Yeah. Ayahuasca correspondent.
Patriots eliminated from the playoffs at 3-10. People tell me they may have a quarterback, but the rest of the team sucks.
I do like Drake May. I've said this before.
Yeah, you've said that. A lot of the people who dive into the all 22 are like, they got the quarterback. I'm not
They
watching
don't have anything else.
Patriots games though. So.
I did. I caught. I mean, the Patriots game this past weekend against they played the Jets, right? No, they played the Colts. Sorry, that was on Red Zone a lot because the way it ended. Drake May was making plays out there.
Plays. AR-15 was making more plays though.
He did.
Number 4.
My own team has found their way back into the bottom 5. The Tennessee Titans.
That was bad.
They were down 28-0, 19 minutes into the game.
It felt like 8 seconds into the game. It was just like they allowed a touchdown and then immediately turned the ball over and then allowed another touchdown.
That
and
game was 14-0 quick.
I felt like it was just watching on Red Zone. It was probably before 1. Before 1 o'clock.
Oh.
And I was like, oh boy, what are we looking at here?
They scored their first touchdown 3 minutes into the game, and then they scored 2 touchdowns in the final 2.5 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah.
So
that all tracks.
It's snowballed. Titans have lost 3 or 4. They're bottom 5 in passing, points for, and points against.
Bad performance.
Yeah.
Bad performance.
They have not figured out their quarterback.
And this is coming off of beating the Houstons.
Yeah. Houston tends to nap or play with their food, or I don't know what it is, but
I'm just not sure they're very good.
Yeah, and I know they're injured in some key positions, but come on.
3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
But the Titans are not the worst team in the division because that belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow, number 3 on this list.
2-10. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They've lost 5 straight. Their quarterback's dead. Their coach still employed.
Yeah, he keeps being employed.
Seems like that's probably going to go to the end of the year.
Well, I guess. Now,
if you haven't done it yet, you're eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, they have a little E next to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're horribly underachieving team. I watch them and I think, gosh, I don't know if they're that bad. And then they lose every time. You know what I mean? They're kind of one of those teams.
Their 2 wins are against the Colts and the Patriots. Now the Titans play the Jaguars this Sunday, so should be interesting.
Who's going to get fired first? There's a lot of good names on the list. Some of which are appearing on this bottom 5 list.
Yes, some still to come.
Here comes 2.
Number 2.
To be clear, we already have an answer who's going to get fired first, but who's going to get fired next, I guess is my question.
The New York Giants are 2-10. They're the second worst team in the league right now.
Speaking of coaches who might get fired.
That's right. They're eliminated from the postseason. They've lost 7 in a row, 8 of 9. They cut their franchise quarterback, who they chose over their franchise running back, who has turned into an MVP candidate.
That's right.
With a division rival.
Good call. Whenever you got the chance to do that, do it.
If there is anyone employed with the New York Giants who is employed with them today,
who is a part of that decision making. Yeah, that feels like a clean house situation.
Yeah.
They were good a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of those close games, right? Won the playoff game. against the Vikings, and
now they're 0-6 at home, 0-5 in the division, a division that I don't think is all that great.
Yep. What?
NFC East, good, not good?
No, I just thought you were going to say the next thing. I just thought the next thing was
yeah.
gonna
Normally,
happen.
when
I didn't have a response to that.
Normally, when people say things, they say three things. Sorry, that one's on me. Who could it be? That's the worst team in the NFL this week.
Yeah. Make it so, number one.
Number one.
People forget the Chicago Bears fired their head coach after a fight ensued between a team captain and the head coach after a horrible instance of game mismanagement on national television.
Really bad. I still can't believe that even happened. I'm watching that thing live. I'm like, all right, so I don't know what they're going to do here, but make a decision, right?
That's the thing.
Either burn the timeout or get up to the ball and go immediately. And then all of a sudden, there's probably 18 seconds left at this point, and Caleb Williams is barking out signs at the line of scrimmage, and then he gets the snap, and he starts kind of looking around a little bit like, Caleb, the time is not on your side here.
Tick-tock,
time
tick-tock.
to do something. Horrendous. Horrendous.
I understand it was like a 3rd and 20 something. So you probably wanted 2 cracks at it. So I'm not even mad that you didn't call timeout there. Maybe you wanted it after the 3rd down play to set up, hey, 4th down play, we got to get this right, and then we can do a fire drill for bring the kicker on. And then after the game to go, no, we had the right idea, just didn't work.
Idiot.
Maybe
you've been Eberflused.
Maybe you wanted to get fired.
Never thought that guy was going to work ever since I found out his name was Eberflus.
Yeah. It's not like a football name,
No. It's a nerd name.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the point? Like he was supposed to bring some know-how, some analytical know-how, and some boy genius stuff to them.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out that way, did it?
No, it did not. They have not won a game since that Hail Mary. And they didn't win that.
Well, they didn't win that game.
Yeah, that's right.
They've lost games in inexplicable ways since then, including that one. And then the Hail Mary game as well.
Almost like it's cursed them.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. They got problems.
Mental problems, man. I do.
Are you team Caleb Williams at this point?
I was actually about to ask you that. Yes, I am. I think he's figuring it out. I think his O-line is horrendous.
He's always running for his life.
Yeah.
Always running for his life.
I think he's figured a few things out.
See, the thing that you get worried about with that is has he like deprogrammed himself to just automatically start running around? I think he holds the ball probably a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
He's and I mean we talked about the similarities between the Bears and the Huskers before, but like where it started for Dylan was that he was a little overly risk averse, and then ultimately they were like, hey, if you're going to be like that, if you're not going to throw those balls, then you're probably going to have to take off and run. He started taking off and running, and then that changed things as well. So it's not a good situation for him to be in, but obviously there's something there with Caleb. He's a good player.
Adam Schefter has just released the playoff pairings if the season ended today.
Oh, that's nice.
Tougher out, Broncos at the Bills or Chargers at the Houston Texans?
Say it again.
Tougher out, Broncos at the Buffalo Bills or Chargers at the Houston Texans?
Okay, the Chargers. The Chargers, I'd actually take to beat the Texans at this point.
Yeah, it's all about matchups and guard play.
The Broncos are not beating the Bills. Sorry.
Although if it snowed, I think they'd have the best chance, right? Versus a team from LA.
They don't beat the Bills in the snow.
No.
You can beat the Bills in the snow.
No one beats the Bills in the snow.
No.
Except the Chiefs in an AFC championship game.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
It was the worst 5 teams in the NFL, and I agree with all of them. The Bears are horrible. Horrible. Even though they're actually not that bad, and there might be some hope for the future. But you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
We'll be back with our dear friend, Jacob Bigelow, We'll talk some football. We'll talk some basketball. We'll talk some sports. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
He's heating up. That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you.
Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire!
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620 The Zone.
Boom shakalaka!
All right, let's have a chat with our dear friend, Jacob Bigelow of Huskers Illustrated and the Stretch Big podcast. Good afternoon, Jacob. How are you?
I am good, Happer. How are you?
Good. You just picking fights with everybody today about all the narratives regarding Nebraska football changes?
No, that's me. I love picking fights. I'm a known fighter. I have a lot of angst, a lot of animosity. You know, that is very much my personality, for sure. For those who have known me for a while, like you, I'm sure you can attest that I am full of vitriol, anger, and disdain.
100%. Yes, very, very much so. So how have you received all the various pieces of news over the last couple of days? If you could sum up your position, where are you at right now?
I am neither shocked nor surprised by any of them. I think that the idea that any of this news is shocking or surprising is, I think that is a little off base. I mean, this is an industry where, first, the coaches, where most coaches are on 2 or 3 year contracts, and if you've got a chance, I know there was an extension and a raise for one of the people who's leaving, but I mean, if just those are the cycles in assistant coaching, and if you see a door to get out, chances are you're going to take that door. And when you look at a football program that has won 11 games in the last 2 seasons, and we don't need to talk about the seasons before that, I mean, it shouldn't be shocking for coaches or players to be looking for greener pastures.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I feel like most people are not all that surprised that there are departures happening. Maybe if there was a little bit of surprise, it would be that Tony White took a defensive coordinator position and not a head coach position, which was always sort of the thought that, hey, it'd be his last year because he's going to go be a head coach somewhere. But I get what you're saying from that perspective. Like, I don't know if it's the surprise that is catching people off guard at the I don't know if it's even a mass exodus yet. It's maybe just the context in which it's happening.
And there were going to be roster departures too, right? They've got a roster limit that they need to hit. So that was going to happen regardless. And I mean, I guess that, there could be a little bit of surprise in, Tony White taking a defensive coordinator job, but it's in a conference he's been in before. It's in a conference he knows. It's in, it's in a very fertile recruiting ground state, and it's I don't think it's all that eyebrow raising or eye opening from my perspective, at least. But then again, I've got 4 eyes, so that is 2 more eyes than the usual human. So that's just how I see it.
So how do you feel like Tony White, I guess, performed? If you could sum up his time at Nebraska, how would you say it went? And that's based on expectations or sort of whatever you felt like was going to be the defense this year and what it ended up being. Like, I guess, how would you sum up Tony White's time at Nebraska?
I mean, that defense is the reason that the games that Nebraska's been in for the last 2 years have been as close as they've been. I mean, and really and truly, it's what's kept them in some of these games. And in some cases, what gave them the chance to win some of these games was the play of that defense. And I mean, I think that's a credit to that Nebraska having some legitimate dudes on that defense that played especially last season. And the defense surprised me last season. There were a lot of questions about the dudes on. I mean, they were older guys, and I'm not even going to talk about the scheme or any of that. But I mean, it's the reason. It's a big part of the reason why Nebraska has been in as many close games as they have is that defense performing. I do think that they took a step back this season, and they were not on the same level that they were previously. But I mean, I think it was a success. But I mean, I don't, I'm not looking to slander the man by any means. I think he's got a bright future in football. I think he, obviously has shown that, he's capable. I just push back on the eulogizing of a defensive coordinator. Like, he and he alone was God's gift to Nebraska football. And if we want to, point the finger at players got to make plays as a reason why things aren't going well on the other side of the ball, why are we not crediting the players that did make plays on the other side of the ball? And it just kind of sometimes it can feel like you're taking crazy pills, but that's being around Nebraska football. It feels like crazy pills all the time.
Well, I think there was a sentiment that I'm sure you heard it throughout the year, that Nebraska's older seasoned players weren't necessarily the ones that were, even though that they were the ones who were playing, that it wasn't that those guys were like propelling them to these things. It was actually that they were in some areas like holding them back. Now, I don't know if I subscribed 100% to that, but we talked a lot about throughout the year how, Nebraska's safeties weren't in the right place and all that stuff. So this, I think this represents like an opportunity for Nebraska to do something different. It's a bit of a reset on the defensive side of the ball, while also saying, I do think Tony White was a pretty dang good coach and had a really successful time. Like, I think both of those things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely. They both can. And I think that, I mean, it's not just a reset on defense. It's a reset. It's a whole, like your iPhone would say, it's a factory reset, going into year 3 for Matt Rule. I mean, it appears that the keys are being handed to Dana Holgorsen on one side of the ball, and then it's, to be determined on, where the defensive identity is going to go. Rule has said almost ad nauseum, we're going to play good defense no matter who's in charge of it. I would expect that to be the side of the ball that he is much more hands-on,
no doubt,
going into next season. And, it's a full, factory reset, for this program going into, season year 3 under Matt Rule. And, even with the impending, bowl game, it's getting started right now.
How do you feel about, with that being said, how do you feel about the offense with seemingly complete control to Dana Holgerson? Like, does that feel like a good situation going into 2025?
It's definitely a better situation than it was in going into this year.
For sure.
I don't know how. I think that I've kind of subscribed to the theory that that they didn't know what to do offensively when Dylan Raiola flipped his commitment to Nebraska, and it took that's kind of why the offense looks the way it looked to start the season, because it's like, we've got this guy, but we don't really know what to do with our playbook and our personnel to fit this, to fit having this, generational type quarterback. And now you bring in a guy like Holgerson, who, as a Mike Leach disciple, to coach, a quarterback like Dylan Raiola. On paper, sounds like a match made in heaven. And then it's going to be a matter of the, skill position players that they are able to add, and guys that are in the program that take the next step in the off season and have a chance to develop. But it's definitely a better starting point, even though it's kind of from square one. Than the starting point that they were at when Dylan Raiola sort of fell into their lap, and they kind of had to decide, what can we do? What do we want to do? This is not what we expected our identity to be offensively, and now they are committing to it being their identity.
Totally, it's interesting. So let me ask you this then. Given what has happened with both sides of the ball, I guess throughout the last calendar year, or maybe I guess you could just take Rule's tenure all the way up until right now. Which side of the ball do you feel more confident in going forward, knowing what you know at this very moment? Like, do you feel like Nebraska is well prepared to have a good offense or a good defense, or both? I guess is my question.
Right now I would subscribe to the defense, and I know people who have seen my Twitter feed today are like, what the hell is he talking about? But if I have anything to believe Matt Rule on, it's the idea that they're always going to be good on defense. If there's one thing that I'll subscribe to, and I believe that they will. I think they've got a good. I think they'll have a good plan in place regardless of who the coordinator is, and I have some guesses of where that could go. I think it will not be some unfamiliar name for Matt Rule one way or another. Right. But I kind of subscribe to the idea that they'll still be solid. I'm not going to get into scoring defense or any of the the stats. I don't have K-Ford pulled up to wax poetic about. But I think that that's still the side of the ball that I'd be more confident in going forward because of and the importance of it in the Big Ten. It's a combination of those things.
All right, Jacob, let's talk some basketball. We have not talked since Nebraska beat Creighton in basketball. What are your thoughts?
Wow, that is an excellent point, because you guys were in Vegas and I got bumped. Sad, but we didn't get the chance to talk about that game. It kind of was my cliff notes of it was just deja vu of 2 years ago.
Pretty much.
It was almost the exact same game, the exact same script, just some different characters. It was definitely a weird case of deja vu, even up to the fact that I was sitting in the hockey press box, sitting next to the same person I was sitting next to 2 years ago. It was all just deja vu all over again, and the result was similar.
What does it mean now that we've seen the aftermath of it, and Nebraska ball has continued to look good, and they had a nice win on Sunday and have scored 103 and 96 over their last two games? Do you feel like now in retrospect that it has sort of infused the right amount of confidence into this program, that now it kind of understands, all right, this is what we can be, and we can beat teams of a good caliber or whatever it is, no matter what Creighton ends up being this year? I feel like that has sort of infused a level of confidence into that group.
Yeah, I think the result definitely did, but it's been, kind of funny. We've seen two games that are kind of the opposite, blueprint since. South Dakota, they, score 96. The Season has 29 off the bench, and it's kind of the first game where the lid came off the rim from, beyond the arc, as Fred Hoiberg had alluded to all year. Like, there's going to be a night where, shots start falling, and then they followed it up by scoring 100 plus points against North Florida. And, they're a team that can beat you in a different. They've shown now that they can win games in a couple different ways. It kind of looked like it was going to be Doc Sadler-esque. It's going to have to be a street fight, knockdown, drag out, first team to 65 wins in the first few games that they played. But now they've shown what it can look like when the shots are falling, and that's a lot. I mean, it's kind of just been the Connor Essegian show these last two games, especially from three back-to-back games where he had 6 makes. First time in 22 years since Nebraska's had a guy make 6 or more threes in back-to-back games. It's been pretty, and that's a testament to him. He's a guy that I thought could raise the ceiling for this team going forward. But Nebraska's shown that they've got multiple ways they can beat you. But I think they're the top of the list for them remains that defense,
no doubt,
physicality and toughness.
That is absolutely their calling card, and yeah, they're on a little bit of a heater over the last couple here on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't know what you thought this group on defense was going to be. I definitely didn't think this. I mean, usually when you talk about teams that lack athleticism across the board the way that Nebraska does, you're not talking about them, really having good defensive performances. There's usually a ceiling there. You have to do it in a team way. They've obviously done it in a team way, but there's just a higher ceiling on them defensively than I thought at the beginning of the year. Why has that happened?
I think it's a testament to the depth. I mean, they've got. I mean, I just talked about the multiple ways they can beat you, but the legitimate depth that they have from top to bottom, and I think the main area for me has been the post depth. And even that's without Berke in this most recent game, but I think you've got. I mean, I think Mia is starting to find the right, role for him. He's the guy that I thought was the weird fit, kind of not the odd man out, but definitely the weirdest, fit, in the Fred Hoiberg scheme. But you throw in guys like Morgan and Berke and even, the multitude of small ball lineups that they've gone to, and they haven't lost much of a beat defensively, aside from, some parts of that South Dakota game where, Fred Hoiberg himself said they lost their defensive edge. But I think it's a testament to the depth and all the guys being bought in on that identity and that being their calling card, and that's a testament to Nate Lenzer, who has he was on the network last night talking about the importance of that defensive identity and their mantra and all that sort of thing. I'd recommend anyone go listen to it. I could listen to Nate talk ball for a while, but I think more than anything, it's just a testament to the depth that they've got.
So I'm not sure I saw. Well, let me just ask you a question in a question form instead of just giving you a take. What did you think Nebraska was getting in Connor Essegian, and what have they gotten a few games into the season?
I was thinking that they would try to have him be CJ Wilcher, even down to the number he's wearing. He's wearing 0. In the inter squad scrimmage at the start of the year, they were running some of the same baseline out of bounds plays that they ran for CJ. I thought that it would be that kind of role for him. The guy off the bench whose job is to make shots and be serviceable on defense. Not a plus defender, but be serviceable. And back-to-back 20-plus point games. There are people out there making comps to Keisei Tominaga, which, I didn't think that it was going to be a 1-for-1, but I thought that if there was anyone who would have that, the closest, comp to him when it comes to, quick trigger, get hot from three, get the crowd into it, I thought he would be the best, chance to replicate that. But he's definitely, been above, where I thought he would be, both, not just from three. He's shown some mid-range game, the willingness to go downhill, get to the rim, try to get fouled. He had a big make at the rim late in that Creighton game that kind of stuck with me. Like, oh, he came to play tonight. But he's definitely overperformed so far compared to where I thought, and that's a testament to him.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've really come to like about this group is I think this is more of a like an anecdotal. It doesn't really show up in stats. Stoppers and killers. All right. So stoppers on the defensive side of the ball, it obviously comes up, but also guys that can get a shot when you need to stop a run. And then killers is it's basically the same thing, right? Do you want the ball when it's an important time for you? I think they have a few, I think they have a few of those guys, and Essegian might be one of them. That's been a great development and something I'm not quite sure that they've had in the last couple iterations of this team.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of just always been one guy, right? But there hasn't really been a cut stopper. I think that's the term I use. Like if you're bleeding, like who can be the Band-Aid to stop the run?
Yep.
And I think Bryce Williams has a little bit of stopper and killer in him. I've kind of referred to him as the Terminator for the last 2 years. People don't think he shows any emotion, but he falls into that category. I think Juwan Gary, maybe not offensively, but I know every other aspect, I think he's a killer.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm definitely right there with you. They've got options. They've got multiple. I think they've got multiple guys they can draw something up for. They've got multiple guys who I know will try to go scrap for a rebound, even down to Sam Hoiberg. But there's plenty of options. When push comes to shove.
All right, Jacob. I assume there'll be multiple pods or maybe just one pod this week. Nebraska and Michigan State start off conference slate on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll be previewing the Spartans, some cliff notes on the recent non-con run. I don't try to go too in-depth, clip the Zapruder film type breakdown of bye games. It'll be, turned up to 11 with Michigan State, and then Indiana on a Friday night at PBA on Big Fox, which is kind of a sneaky big game. So it'll
Definitely.
be, those are the two early ones to start it for Nebraska. But there'll be a pod by the end of the week.
Any thoughts on your poor friends from Indiana at this point who got bludgeoned on national television during Feast Week by Louisville? But generally they've been okay this year. But it's still Indiana basketball, and it's a fun tire fire to watch.
Yes, they are definitely. They leave a lot to be desired. When you think Indiana basketball, you think stereotypical Jimmy Chitwoods from Hoosiers. They still don't have anyone who can shoot the ball.
No.
And it's going to be especially interesting when they play Nebraska, and a kid from Fort Wayne, Indiana, is going to be either starting or coming off the bench to make threes at Nebraska instead of Indiana. So I'm sure that will not be made a big deal by the scribes who cover IU if Connor Essegian happens to have a big game.
All right, Jacob. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good show. Good rest of the week, man.
That is Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated in the Stretch Big Pod. It always amazes me that point on Indiana. I watch it, I'm like, okay, that's cool. You got a bunch of 6'7" to 7 foot dudes who are really athletic and can jump out of the gym, but where are the basketball players? Do you have any of those?
Tall dudes will be enough.
Hasn't really been enough for Indiana. And how about the heater that young Chucky Hepburn's been on? I've seen a lot of people sort of proffer the idea that you can make up a first team all conference team basically on former Omaha guys.
Yeah,
it's across the country right now. Pretty good. That class that was basically graduated high school. The Miller North Bellevue West matchups around COVID. That class is now all grown up. Chuckster's doing his thing at Louisville. Frankie's at Michigan State. You got St. Thomas out there. Hunter Salas. I'm forgetting many, but those are the main ones.
ACC Player of the Week, Chucky Hepburn.
Chucky
just came down a couple minutes ago.
As always, when we talk about Nebraska basketball, we've started some good chatter in the comments regarding Creighton.
It's burning.
I love when Debo comes in and he just talks about Creighton. I really appreciate that, honestly, from the bottom of my heart.
It's good to have the guy who will
Mix
stick
it
up
up
for Creighton in there. Yeah.
Mix it up a little bit.
Don't always have that.
They do. Debo does the hashtag free Fedor. Free Fedor.
Yeah, let that guy out.
Let him play.
It's fine.
Yeah,
there are
there's no rules
anymore.
in college basketball anymore. Just let the guy. I know he's played 200 professional basketball games overseas. But
overseas.
Yeah,
This is America.
Stuff doesn't matter over there. All right, we're back after this here on 1620 The Zone. writes it on YouTube.
Hi, Andy.
Has Fedoni entered the portal? That would be okay. Shh. SEAL Team Nix says in response, if Fedoni enters the portal, he will do so very slowly.
Oh. I like SEAL Team Nick's other comment.
And realistically, Fedoni will stop just short of the portal and immediately fall down.
Not wrong. Sorry, Auntie.
Also, when we were talking about Fedor from before, Hot Danger said, let LeBron play for Nebraska.
I say go for it.
Also,
who says no?
John emails in on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, John.
Playing professional basketball overseas is like sleeping without your wedding ring. It just does. It means it doesn't count. Exactly.
I would never.
What? I don't get it. We haven't talked about this in person yet. We've only talked about this over the radio. I can't believe that I was made out to be the weirdo.
Well, you are the weirdo.
I am not the weirdo. It's a very normal thing that clearly half the population does.
I
heard from so many people who was like, yeah, I don't know what those guys are talking about. I take my ring off every night.
I have like metal, like gold diamonds on my hand, and I sleep with it. You have one of those little flexi
I don't.
rings
This isn't.
that
this
tell
is,
you if you're
no,
going to die in your sleep or
no,
something.
It doesn't.
You take that off every night.
I have a very hard tungsten ring that can be ran over with a car and not shape shift.
Okay.
It's been tried before.
Well, if you don't take your ring off,
and then I have this
it will
rubber
never
ring.
get run over by a car.
That's true.
And you won't need the tungsten.
But if you never take your ring off, you would never know if it could get run over a car.
I don't know if mine can.
You would have to put your whole hand under there.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, so how would you know? So weird. I don't get it. I'm not sure. All right. Anyway, college world playoff rankings. By the way, do we need to update everyone who wins to the portal at all moments of the day today?
I'm exhausted.
It's just too much.
I'm exhausted.
Nothing. I guess the significant one today was Daniel Kalin, right? And that they're reportedly hiring DeKeel Shorts as their wide receivers coach.
Mr. Shorts.
Mr. Shorts. Was there any other big portal guys that I missed?
Princewell.
Okay. There you go. That's your portal and coach update for the last 3 hours anyway. More to come on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Let's talk about the playoff rankings tonight.
This is actually interesting.
This is kind of interesting. There's a conference championship weekend this weekend, Josh. I don't know if you've heard.
I was aware.
And some of those games are important. Not all.
Not all of them.
But some are important. Like the Big 12 championship game brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
Of course.
Where they throw the footballs into the big holes.
And we have to do the debate about what's the proper way to throw it in there. What should be allowed? What shouldn't be allowed?
This time, it's the weirdest Big 12 championship game of all time. It's Iowa State and Arizona State.
Perfect. Love it.
What a weird conference. Georgia and Texas in the SEC is generally unimportant. Penn State and Oregon in the Big Ten is generally unimportant, even though those are the best two games of the weekend.
I like that the Big Ten did away with divisions so that the Big Ten championship game would not be a blowout, only to have it probably be a blowout.
You think so?
I don't think it will be.
It's a 3.5 point spread.
Close.
At least you're not getting Michigan and Iowa where it's going to be 42-0.
Yeah.
Clemson and SMU in the ACC title game is important.
Definitely.
And the other important game this weekend is the Mountain West Championship.
The Mountain West, Connor?
The Mountain West Championship, which is essentially a college football playoff game, a college football playoff extension game, a play-in game, if you will.
A play-in. Is it taking place in Dayton?
It is not.
Whoa.
It's taking place at Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho, with the blue turf. Boise
The
State.
Dayton of the Pacific Northwest.
Boise State wins. They're definitely in.
Yeah.
UNLV wins. There's an argument that they might not get in, and it would be Tulane should they beat Army this weekend.
Okay.
So there's still that hanging on. But it would be the expectation that UNLV would jump up enough spots to pass Tulane should they beat Boise State this weekend. So that's an important one to watch as well.
Now, those two teams have played already.
Boise State and UNLV?
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. And the winner of that game,
29-24 Boise.
Very good game.
In Vegas.
It was a very good game earlier this year. Yeah. But as far as the rankings, so here's how I'm going to look at it. Here's the list of teams by my account, and I think this is like pretty much 100% true. These are the teams that are in the playoff field. Oregon is in no matter what happens this weekend. They're the only undefeated team in the country. If they lose, they're still in. Texas is in no matter what, even if they take their second loss to Georgia this year. Penn State is in no matter what, even if they lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. They would have had losses to Ohio State and Oregon. That's okay. Notre Dame is in. They don't have any more games left to play. They're 11-1. They're in. I believe that Indiana, the Hoosiers, are in the college football playoff. They don't play this weekend. They're 11-1. They have one loss to Ohio State. Tennessee, I believe they're in the college football playoff. Josh, what's going on over there? I believe that Ohio State is in the college football playoff, and I believe that Georgia is in the college football playoff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that I believe are in based upon their merits. They're in as at-large teams. Then there are 3 basically win and in games. The ACC championship game, as we mentioned, the Big 12 championship game, as we mentioned, and the Mountain West Conference championship game, as we mentioned, with the caveat that I explained earlier. So then you're up to 11 teams. So then you're down to basically playing for one spot at this point, at which point a few 3-loss SEC teams come into the fold. Miami comes into the fold. And what those teams would be rooting for this weekend to happen would, of course, be SMU beating Clemson. Sorry, I'm half focused on Josh kind of taking a phone call.
I'm good. Don't worry about me.
All right.
If you don't want to go on the radio, don't call a radio station.
Okay. He just had a take to say to you?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Should probably get some more Tom Osborne guys in the program and coach it.
So what those teams on the outside looking in, the 3-loss SEC teams / Miami, are looking for is to have as many spots available to them as possible to get into the playoff.
No bid stealers.
No bid stealers. And really there's kind of just one bid stealer this weekend, because like I said, when you look at when you look at who's playing this weekend, I mean, I just mentioned, only one of Iowa State and Arizona State's going to get in. Oregon and Penn State are both in. Texas and Georgia are both in. And then only one of Boise and UNLV, and then Tulane only one of those teams are getting in. So the only bid stealer that we really have, and this would be up for debate, a giant debate, by the way, on playoff selection day, is Clemson. So Clemson, if they lose the ACC title game, is out. They'll take they would take their 4th loss of the year.
Yeah.
If they win, then you have 2-loss SMU, who's lost only to BYU and Clemson on the year, and then you'd be comparing them with the 3-loss SEC teams like Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss.
And Miami.
And then Miami, 2-loss Miami, who's sitting right there as well. But basically, you have those teams who are hoping that a lot of things go right for them here in the conference championship weekend. So they have as many spots open to them as possible. Right now, I see one open spot. There could be 2 by the end of the weekend.
Gosh, I'm just trying to think of SMU's best win. At number 22, Louisville.
Didn't they beat Cal?
They beat Pitt. They beat Cal 38-6.
I don't think SMU would probably hold up in that conversation.
I don't think
unfortunately.
So. Sure.
But we'll see what the committee values. We might get a pretty good idea of that tonight, because there's going to be a whole lot of 1-loss versus 2-loss versus 3-loss arguments and who plays who and who plays who when and all that stuff. But it's it has gotten relatively simple at this point. Even though there is this like general, like Ohio State, Tennessee, and Georgia each have 2 losses. Only one of which is going to get an opportunity to play. Now, if Georgia loses to Texas, you could make the argument that they go into that 3-loss group as well, and then a whole kind of mess happens with them. They probably still get in. They're probably the best 3-loss SEC team. That would be sitting there between them and Ole Miss and Alabama. But there is this general acceptance that 2-loss Tennessee is in and that 2-loss Ohio State is in, and that doesn't necessarily sit well with people considering neither of them are going to make their conference title games. But you got to fill up those spots.
Yeah.
And that's who's there.
Got to take 12.
But for the Big Ten, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State, really nothing to sweat about at this point. Unless you're, the only question now is, where will the first round games be? And we'll get a much better idea on that tonight, because I very much look forward to all these SEC teams heading up north.
Coming up north, yeah.
Did you see the weather around our country this past weekend? It was lovely.
The shoe is lovely later this month, yeah.
The only thing that makes me sad is that Gus Johnson will be sitting at home. Man!
Can't loan him
I'm at home
to TNT.
Will he do a live watch-along podcast?
Now, there is something.
Oh, I love going into the shoe and watching them Buckeyes.
Put it on FS2. Who says no?
I say no to that. But if we could have a Gus cast, just to see the noises that he makes, I wouldn't necessarily be against it. I probably wouldn't watch it that much, but I'd check in.
Just a camera fixated on him because they don't have the rights to the games.
I'd check in.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back. Time for the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on the other side on 1620 The Zone. To the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. A great Twitter feed. And a
Some
great
might say the
sponsor. Is stealing a car a crime of passion? I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
It's not a like A to B, like I see it, I want it, I take it.
Exactly 2/3 say no. 66.7%. And our other poll question today was, do you love Ladd McConkey? I do.
I can remember the name very easily, and I like that.
I do. 54% say no. What's not to love? He's Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey.
He catches everything. Sometimes he even runs afterwards, but usually he just catches it.
That's it, though. That's all you need.
He gets like 10 catches a game, but for like 80 yards. All right.
Half the battle.
Those are the polls, Josh. What will we be watching today?
Well, you can watch the college football playoff rankings reveal show. It must be at 6 because basketball doesn't start till 6:30. So
it must be at 6.
I kind of forgot to look it up. I'll be honest.
All right, let me go to my YouTube TV.
Okay, you do that. I'll tell you all the basketball that's on tonight. Number 14, Cincinnati is at Villanova. 5:30 FS1. The Big 12 Big East Challenge is underway.
That's right. What are some other? Give me some other games.
That's the only one today.
It is at 6:00, by the way. The ranking show.
It's well, I should take that back. It's the only one of note today.
Would you like me to check the rest of the schedule in the Big East Big 12 Challenge?
Sure. Obviously, Kansas Creighton tomorrow. A couple other marquee ones tomorrow, but
so tonight, Cincinnati Villanova, BYU Providence.
Classic Big 12 Big East matchup.
BYU. Kansas Creighton tomorrow. Baylor UConn is the lead-in to Kansas Creighton tomorrow. Marquette and Iowa State. Hello, indeed.
Where's that game at?
At Hilton.
Oh, okay.
That's a big one. Seton Hall must not have got included because they play NJIT tomorrow.
That's not a Big 12 school.
No, but it is run by my dear friend, Lenny.
That's right.
And DePaul and Texas Tech is a basketball game tomorrow.
DePaul included.
Yes.
Seton Hall not included.
That's right.
Okay.
And they made the right choice, to be honest with you. Xavier and TCU is Thursday. Georgetown and West Virginia is Friday.
This is a very long challenge.
St. John's and Kansas State is Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And then one more.
My God, what a long challenge.
Butler and Houston is Saturday. Actually, one more. Oklahoma State and Seton Hall is Sunday.
Seton Hall
did indeed get included.
Just on the back end.
I was going to say that everybody should have got a game here because the Big 12 is gigantic and the Big East is tiny.
Yeah. Peacock doubleheader tonight. Iowa hosts Northwestern at 6. Number 11, Wisconsin, 8:00 against Michigan. Big 10 basketball on FS1 at 9:30. Washington at UCLA. Tonight begins the SEC ACC Challenge.
Okay.
Good
challenge.
4 games at 6:00. Arkansas, Miami, Notre Dame, Georgia, Cal, Mizzou.
This is too difficult.
South Carolina, Boston College. Number 3, Tennessee hosts Syracuse at 6:30 on ESPN.
That's a lot of orange.
Yeah, and then you get another round of games at 8. Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, Wake Forest at number 22, Texas A&M. Number 23, Ole Miss at Louisville, Chucky Hepburn and them boys. FSU at LSU, 8:00 on SEC Network. And number 4, Kentucky at Clemson, 8:30 ESPN.
What a challenge.
As far as the women go, Lindenwood is at number 25, Nebraska, 7:00 on Big 10 Network Plus.
Oh, I thought we were on TV tonight.
No,
that is actually great news to hear. That means the game goes a little faster.
Well, because you got to make room for the Juju show. Number 6 USC hosts Cal Baptist at 8:30 on BTN. Another thrilling night of NBA Cup action is upon us on TNT. The winner of this game clinches Group A, Connor. I know you've been following it closely.
We're already in clinching season?
Yeah, Magic Knicks, 6:30 TNT.
I've been led to believe that both of these teams are not just competent but good?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe they're like 3-4 in the conference.
Hello.
Something like that. Warriors Nuggets follows that at 9:00. Hockey doubleheader on Hulu. Red Wings Bruins at 6, followed by Oilers and Golden Knights. Hard Knocks in-season debuts tonight on HBO at 8:00. We're following all of the teams in the AFC North. What could possibly go wrong?
That's a lot of Liev Schreiber.
That's a lot, yeah. And finally, 7:00 on ABC. Reset the clock, Connor. It's CMA Country Christmas. Let's see if I know any of these names. King and Country, they just performed at something or other.
I don't know that one.
Cody Johnson.
I don't know that one.
Karen Leone, but it's not spelled Karen. Ashley McBride, John Party, Brittany
I know
Spencer.
that one. I know John Party.
Yeah. CeCe Winan, and hosts Amy Grant and Trisha Yearwood perform.
I know Trisha Yearwood.
I know both of those, Amy Grant and Trisha Yearwood.
Wow, I was like 2 out of 9 for me. That's an all-time low.
I can't imagine this will go by without Jelly Roll making an appearance.
So, do we have to reset the counter for this?
It's not an award show, but it is. This is the debate we always get into. It's a gathering of country artists, but it is not an award show.
Okay.
So what are we?
I think
noting?
it counts.
I think it does too.
I think it counts. If Shabuzi's there, it counts. All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
So we're watching That's the Show. If you missed anything, you could find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com. The crossover is next.